Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, let's get this intro. Let's get this intro going. All right, we got the intro going off the screen. Let me make sure I got my sound right. Do a quick sound check on my end, and then we're going to get this thing started. Listen up on my background real quick. Stay with me. All right, good. All right, so we got audio. So just a couple updates to the stream. So as you see on the screen here, I'm trying something new. So I'm doing the full 16:9 layout for YouTube now. Just wanted to check things out, see how the response will be with the full 16:9. So let me know in the comments if you prefer this or if you prefer the vertical stream. This gives me a little bit more real estate, more things I can show on the screen. So I definitely think that's a plus. Going to do this for a couple weeks and see how the response is to it. Also, if you look at the screen, now you see, what side would that be on? To your left side of the screen, you're going to see Streamlabs and Fanatics. I'm an affiliate with both of those. I got links in the description, so if you want to help the channel, definitely tap into either one of those links. Streamlabs if you want to get into streaming and get a free trial of Streamlabs Ultra, and then Fanatics if you want to use my affiliate link when you're getting your any type of fan gear, especially that Cleveland Browns gear if we get ready for a big season. Definitely tap in there. To the right, you see all of my socials, so OffThaRecordDee on all platforms. So there is the new layout. Also, another announcement. I'm going to be doing audio podcast releases because I'm gearing up for some big things I have for the audio version of the podcast. So last week I realized that I didn't make it as clear as it should be. So to me, it seemed like it was kind of confusing on which podcast was the video and which podcast was the audio. So if you look at the screen now, you see the thumbnail. That is the thumbnail for the audio. For the video podcast. It's in color. Now I'm going to show you the thumbnail for, this is the thumbnail. You see it here. It's in black and white. This is the audio only podcast. So you'll see that it's in black and white. You'll see you got the headphones there. The color is taken away from the actual title on there. So that's how you're going to be able to determine the difference until we have the official release of the audio version on the podcast. So right now you can get the audio version of the podcast. You can get it on YouTube Music, but really soon we got a big announcement. You're going to be able to get that audio version of the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. So you just got to subscribe, like, and comment. Stay tuned for the audio version so you can just listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts, because I do stream for 2 hours plus. Just want you to be able to listen to that on the go. You can be out working, doing whatever, and then you can check out the podcast. So that's how you'll identify the difference in which one is which. All right. Take this down. All right, there we go. Perfect. All right, so y'all see the title. Gil was right about Kobe. He pulled up some receipts. Joy Taylor was fired. Also, Cam Newton versus Ryan Clark. So we got a lot of things to cover. It's going to be a great show. And then also, Shador is active in the Cleveland community, going to a rough part of the city that a lot of people wouldn't go. He even acknowledges that people told him not to go there. So we're going to cover all those things in this episode. Also, just another reminder, audio version of the podcast releases 8 a.m. on YouTube on Sundays. The full video replays release at 9 a.m. on Sundays. Like, comment, and subscribe so you can get all that information. All right, so the sports media landscape is changing in front of you. And also, the opportunity is here. If you want to get into podcasting, you want to get into streaming, the time is now. When you start to see these changes happen and the changes seem like they're coming at a faster rate, that's when you know that there's opportunity there and you kind of got to get in that window. So everybody saw the changes that Fox Sports made this week and that they announced this week. So to me, that means you can kind of get in, especially if you have the passion and the love for a player or a team. You potentially could cover that team better than some of these national people cover the team. So just look at the opportunities. The opportunity is there. So as legacy media changes and shows get canceled, what happens next? To me, I think that legacy media is kind of the place that people can always criticize. So you can always criticize, the Stephen A. Smiths, the, Emmanuel Achos, the Shady McCoys. All those people have a target on their back because it seems like they say the most outrageous things. So those are the people that people kind of go after. But to me, I think the next domino is going to be people going after athlete-driven media. And I think they're going to face more scrutiny because there's going to be more shakeup and there are going to be new shows. And then now that focus, because the haters got to go somewhere. The haters going to be somewhere. The haters live. So the haters, they're not. Emmanuel Acho has been catching so much hate the past 6 months that they got to find somebody else to go to now because now he's not there to hate on. So I think it's going to go to athlete-driven media, and I think it's going to be two styles of athlete-driven media that they're going to attack, the haters. I think they're going to attack people who are being more like the Skip Bayless clones and somebody like a Rashad McCants. If you watch Gil's Arena, you know that McCants is playing a role. You know that to him, it seems like either they worked it out or if he decided this on his own, he's going to be the contrarian. He's going to push back on everything that everybody says, even when he doesn't have a legitimate point. And for some reason, people believe that you need that pushback to have a formidable show. I don't agree, but that's the style that they're taking. That's that Skip Bayless style, where they don't care about data and facts. They care more about just pushing back on you. So those people, those Skip Bayless clones, they're going to start facing a lot of scrutiny. The second group that I think is going to start facing the scrutiny is going to be the athletes who, when they get pushback, they say, "Oh, I was trolling. Oh, I was trolling. I was trolling. I wasn't serious." That's only going to work for so long. So that works when you have the legacy media that you can always, they have most of the haters. But when the haters move and they start focusing on other people and you face more scrutiny, that's when I think some of the "I was trolling" is people are it's gonna be short lived. Just an example of that is Jeff Teague. He always said that Michael Jordan was the GOAT. He went on to Joe and Jada, and they had a conversation pre-show, and he took that pre-show conversation into the show and kept saying LeBron was his GOAT. And then afterwards, when he faced the backlash online, he just told everybody he was trolling because he know how much Fat Joe likes Michael Jordan. Which, yeah, it's cool. You could do that once or twice, but when people are looking at you and they're putting you on a higher level because they say you're an athlete, you played in the NBA, the trolling is only going to get you so far. The haters and people are going to want to see you take it a little bit more serious because they're tuning into you 5-6 days a week. So they don't want you to be doing inside jokes trolling when they're coming to you for information. So I think those two styles are definitely going to get critiqued. We're going to see that for the next year. Those styles are going to people are going to go in on those styles and really push back on them. So those are the styles that I think people need to be careful of. So to me, both of these styles, I don't think either one of them is authentic, and I think both of them are going to face pushback. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if I'm off base. If I'm off base, tell me I'm off base. If you agree, if you foresee people starting to get agitated with those styles, let me know. Let me know in the comments when y'all definitely check this out. All right, so let's keep this thing moving forward. So I like I said, we got a packed show. We got a packed show today. So let me get myself situated here. The first thing we're going to get to on the show is, so everybody knows about the Fox Sports 1 shakeup, and they canceled 3 shows. And Joy Taylor, was she fired or was her contract not renewed? We're going to get into all the breakdown of that. But we're going to go outside of that to look at someone who was in legacy media for a long time, Dan Le Batard, And this is going to be a window into how people view the ESPNs or the Fox Sports ones. He almost can't understand why ESPN and Fox Sports 1 cannot reach a younger audience. So we're gonna get to his video, and we're gonna do some commentary on it. So let's take this down. Let's get this updated. All right, so we got that up there. So far so good. So this is gonna be, like I said, Dan Le Batard. I'm gonna put myself on mute and let's go. This is 5 minutes, so I'm gonna have to stop it a couple times, just to get my feedback. Very useful, all the videos I'm using today. Let's go.
Happening at Fox Sports. I know that we haven't talked at all about the firing of Craig Carton and Joy Taylor and Emmanuel Acho, and that now they've got a makeover there. Fox has been having trouble since Jamie Horowitz left there, and they are now making over the entire thing. And what are they doing with their big noon kickoff that is now legitimately rivaling one of the biggest sports studio shows there's ever been, ESPN College Game Day?
This is all according to media reports. It doesn't seem like it's finalized, but headed to that direction where Dave Portnoy joins the cast of Big Noon Saturday, and it's a part of an overarching deal where FS1 would rely on Barstool for a lot of its daily content as a cable sports network.
So that is a giant achievement for Barstool, and it's where the country has shifted in terms of, and the business has shifted, where these giant companies have to go outside of themselves in order to find something that reaches young people, because they don't know how to do it on their own.
It's also expensive to.
All right, so I'm just going to jump in real quick here. So he's talking about, there's rumors of Dan Portnoy and Barstool Sports kind of getting a Pat McAfee deal, and them joining up on the Saturday college coverage for Fox, and then also them bringing some form of content to Fox that could fill up some of the time slots throughout the day. So instead of Fox saying, we're going to try to figure out how to create a new show, grab new talent, and build something, they're saying, you know what, we might go out here to somebody who's already built something, and then, kind of just get a licensing deal and use them for a couple years. The funny thing about this is a very similar shift if you go back to how things were in the music industry. So in the music industry, it used to be a long time ago. I'm gonna show my age here, y'all. So you used to have to sign with a record label, and then you sign that record label, and then they had all the access to the radio stations. They had all the access to get you on tour, get you on shows and everything. And that record label, they determine the outcome of your career. So that worked for a long time. But as technology got better, and as we went from, you had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the studio, we got to the point where technology got so good, every person can have a studio at their house. This is a studio. Technically, I have the capabilities. I could record an album where I record my podcast if I wanted to. So now you don't have to go through a record company to get out there. You can put out your own music, you can build up a buzz, you can be independent, you can control all of your publishing, and you can move things forward. Now, when you go do a deal with a record label, you're doing a partnership deal. You're doing the deal that Master P did all these years ago. But the difference is, Master P, it was groundbreaking. It's more normal now because the record labels don't have to put in all the work to build you up and find your audience. It's very similar to Pat McAfee going to ESPN. He had a built-in audience. He had a built-in core. He was doing this on YouTube for so many years. Once he built that in, when he went to ESPN, that was a partnership. It just put him on a broader scope. But he built the show and brought his audience to ESPN. So ESPN benefited without having to do everything to build up the talent, to sell the story, and to get him a following. So that's the thing that's changing. And some of the older people in legacy media, this is happening right before their eyes, and they can't come to grips with it. They can't understand how ESPN can't put on good shows. Fox Sports can't put on good shows. They can't reach anyone that's younger. Well, the first thing I would say is look at the ages of all the people that they just got rid of. I don't think they got rid of any person under the age of 35. Every person that they just got rid of was older. How does a 35-year-old speak to a 16-year-old when it comes to sports? Their takes are going to be different. Who they view as the best is going to be different. How they consume sports is going to be different. That 35-year-old, remember, is going to sporting events and also watching whole games at home. That 16-year-old usually watches highlights and spends more time in the comments talking about who they think is better and what they think happened and trolling people. So how do those two worlds merge and come together? It's a big disconnect. So you need someone who is in the world of reaching the 16-year-old sports fan who you can make a sports or a person who watches your network for the next 15 to 20 years. A 35-year-old can't do that. They don't really have that reach. So I think that's one thing that LeBron is missing. He's going to go even further. I am going to speed him. I'm going to leave him at 1.25. But let's get back to it.
To create your own content. And I think some of these networks are finding, even if you commit a lot of money in salary to a Pat McAfee, if you have a licensing agreement, the overhead is actually more cost effective on their books and planning out budgets for original content.
But what is the report that Portnoy's just going to be on the show?
That's a report that he's going to be a part of Big Noon Saturday. We don't.
And then they might create a show I saw with him and Big Cat.
Yeah,
just
before
for FS1.
Yeah, because they have a popular Barstool College football kickoff program that's been exclusively on social media and online. And if FS1 does a co-branded thing, they can. It's kind of like the McAfee model. This exists already, and we're just gonna put some FS1.
That's a great idea.
I am legitimately surprised in 2025 to see these giant entities like Fox and Disney have to figure out a way to go outside of their own talent pools in order to rent the audiences of others.
But why are you surprised? Mike's saying it's easier, it's more affordable.
Yeah,
it's
John
the right way to
Skipper
go.
tried to do it like 10 years ago and fired them after an episode.
That is correct, and I'm still legitimately surprised to see the proliferation of having to do it outside because you can't do it for yourself. Fox has had a long time to build what they've built over there, not just inside sports, but outside of sports as well. And Fox's initial foray into this environment was to go get Skip Bayless and to go get Colin Cowherd because they don't actually know how to build their own young thing that reaches young people.
No,
it's not just them.
Nick Wright is responsible for I think the highest rated show on their network, and he was a star that was cultivated and developed by FS1. He's a legacy talent over there, but this is not a new concept. And I don't know why people don't think this. Maybe it's because it's not an outrageous personality like Pat McAfee or even Barstool. What's the biggest daytime block in the history of ESPN? Daytime. It's, pardon the interruption. That was a licensed show. They out.
So this is where legacy media is kind of missing it. And you see he's really pushing back. He really is saying, I don't understand why they can't reach basically a younger audience. Just look at it. You're a guy sitting there with a face full of gray. I mean, I got my grays too. Y'all can't really see him, but how do you get somebody? How does Dan? I guarantee you, if Dan Le Batard looks at his analytics, he's not going to see the 16 to 24-year-old crowd watching his show. So he has no attachment to that crowd. You're going to look at the shows they got rid of, Breakfast Ball. I guarantee you they didn't have an attachment to that crowd. You're going to look at Speak. They didn't have an attachment for that crowd. Speak actually inherited Undisputed's YouTube, and they couldn't do anything with it. And I think that was a mistake in hindsight. I'm looking at it as a mistake because now you couldn't really see if people were engaged for them or if people just watched because they were already subscribed to Undisputed, and that was such a big show. But this is very clear to me. The landscape is changing, and usually people can't see it as it's happening, but you really got to be an open-minded older person to see this as it's happening. You just have to know that things are changing. Things aren't the same. And Dan is like, I don't understand. Why can't they put on? Another issue is they have 5 versions of the same show. So if you start with Breakfast Ball, you have 3 guys. You have 1 athlete. You have 1 guy who's coming up in media, and I think his name is Danny Parsons. And then you had Carlson. So Carlson was from the radio. You had Mark Schlereth, who was a former player, and he calls football games, and you have Parsons. So they had that show, Breakfast Ball. Then you go to the next show. Who's next up? I guess No, Colin was next. Colin had his run. Then you had before that they had the facility, and the facility was just 4 guys, 4 former athletes. I think Chase said he used to do radio, but another thing, more athletes and kind of almost debate style, just like Breakfast Ball's debate style. And then you had Speak, which is also kind of debate style. Then you had First Things First, and I think the mistake that people aren't seeing, they're just saying, "Oh, Nick Wright is the biggest one. Him and Colin are the biggest people." The difference is on First Things First, for the most part, if they agree on something, they just agree on it and they acknowledge that they agree. They don't take a counter argument for the sake of it. I think Nick did that twice in the last couple of months, and I started to get a little worried about him because I was thinking he's going to turn into one of these people if he does this, and then he just stopped. When he was trying to defend the New York Knicks and how they were going about their coaching search, I was like, man, everybody sees this as bad. It's nothing here to defend. So don't try to make this out like it's a good thing. It's just a bad search. And he was kind of pushing back on the reverse side. And then he also was doing the Shea is a free throw merchant thing during the playoffs. And I was like, you kind of get into that point where you're trying to be the contrarian and it doesn't work. So he did it with those 2 things. I was a little worried, thought he was about to go down the bad course, but he kind of stopped off. And I watched him the other day, and they agreed on the Pittsburgh Steelers or something else I was watching, but they agreed. And a lot of these other shows think that you have to just push back and you can't agree with somebody. And I think that's a fundamental flaw in a lot of these shows. I was even watching, old clips. It was a Bill Simmons. He was interviewing Stephen A. and they were talking about Kendrick Perkins, and they were explaining that Kendrick Perkins' role on the show is for him to be the person that says something that sparks either thoughts or arguments. And it makes sense. Like now when you look back and when Kendrick is speaking, you're like, dang, sometimes he's so off. It is to just spark something else. Emmanuel Acho, he was trying to create new takes but all his new takes he created were bad. And they didn't make any sense. So when you have these guys where they're not just speaking what they feel, people see it, people feel it, and it doesn't work. So I just thought this was interesting because as we get into this show and we really dig into the changes at Fox Sports, the opportunities that are there, I wanted to show you that there are people who have been in legacy media for a long time. They still don't understand. LeBron is so lost right here. He's like, I don't get it. Why these? The problem is they saw one formula work and they just stretched it as many times as they could to all these different places, hoping it would still work. A lot of these shows, they rarely had their own segments that were kind of just for them. So if you look at First Things First, which is the best show on Fox, they have Nick's Ladder, the QB Ladder. They have different pyramids that Nick will build with different ratings. They have creative ways to do those things. They have the Bud List with Chris Broussard, where he talks about weekly who's on the Bud List and who needs to step up. So they have creative segments inside of their show. They're also doing something, which is a great idea that I might kind of take, but I'm going to tell you all about it anyway. I used to watch The Office. The Office is one of my favorite shows. They took that kind of interview style that Office would do during shows, and they've added that to their social media after shows. And that's something that I might take and use once I'm doing more live streams. But they've added more to the show. If you watch all the rest of these shows, it's just the same thing. It's the same thing over and over and over again. So you got to get creative with the shows. That's a part of the problem, is they're not getting creative. Another problem is the people they have on these shows have been in legacy media too long, and they just keep shuffling the same people. It becomes a job. It's like I said about Stephen A. If you're not excited to cover the sport that you're covering, move out the way, let somebody else cover it who would have that excitement. You always need to be refreshing talent so people stay tuned in. If you're not refreshing talent, the person needs to rebrand themselves. Look at 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz has so many different names, and he always rebrand himself to stay fresh and relevant, and that's something that you have to do. So even in sports media. But that is Dan Le Batard not understanding kind of what's going on. So the next thing we're going to get to, which is something that everybody's been speaking about this week, the main takeaway is Joy Taylor being fired.
You won't be working with you.
Whoops. Joy Taylor being fired, and some people were saying she was fired Some people are saying her contract wasn't renewed. There's different ways that this is being reported. I don't know which one is the truth, but Joy Taylor, one thing I did notice, I noticed recently she's been doing the rounds of promoting her podcast more, and that just kind of, it always stuck with me. Like, she's hitting a lot of shows, she's doing a lot of interviews, and she is not talking about her show on Fox. So that was just kind of a window. Like, she might be the only one who foresees she's not going to be around there for a while. So this is her. She's on V103 Atlanta. This is Big Tigger. Let's see what she says. He's going to ask her about her not being on Fox. Let's go.
And a bunch of black people won't be working where you was working before.
They will not.
How did you receive that news, and was it a shock?
I wasn't completely surprised. Obviously, it's disappointing anytime something ends. I had a really pretty amazing run at Fox. Was there for 9 years. Being at a network for any amount of time these days is a feat. But I spent most of my 30s in Los Angeles at Fox and went through some highs and some pretty interesting lows. But I'm grateful to be able to have worked with the people that I worked with, the talent that I worked with. I'm really grateful to the crew and the staff that worked every day behind the scenes. We know being in this business, we're obviously front facing, but there's so many people that do so much work to make sure that the show goes and that, we look good and we sound good and everyone can enjoy a good product. And those people don't get mentioned when these things happen. But, there's a lot of people that will be looking for jobs now. So, my heart and spirit is with them as well. But, everything comes to an end. Like, shows get canceled in this business. Obviously, my name is the headline and, my picture is more clickable.
Right.
So it's gonna be there. But as you mentioned, 3 shows were canceled.
Right.
Which is, it's always disappointing when those things happen, but this is part of the business. It's what we sign up for being in this business. So I'm excited for what's next.
How much of this, in your opinion, is related to the allegations and lawsuits that came out earlier?
The 0%.
All right, so we wanted Joy to be able to finish her point there. So she says that this 0% has anything to do with what came out about her. Let me do something real quick. As I flip this over, let me do something real quick. So stay with me. Stay with me here. Actually, this is what we're going to do. Now that I have more real estate, let's go ahead and throw up an ad from Streamlabs. Let's get the sound for y'all so y'all can hear. Man, here we go. .io/OTRDEE. When using this link, we'll get a percentage of each sale, and it'll really help us out. Take your live stream to the next level with Streamlabs. Easy setup, pro overlays, built-in alerts, and all the tools you need to grow your stream with a free 7-day trial of Streamlabs Ultra. Start streaming smarter at streamlabs.pxf.io/OTRDEE. When using this link, we'll get a percentage of each sale, and it'll really help us out. All right, y'all. So y'all got to hear that there. So we're working on my ad reads there. So as I get more into the podcast space, there will be times where I will be doing more ad reads. So I just kind of want to work on that and get that going. All right. So I got some stuff done in the background, but back to Joy Taylor. So at the very end of that, he asked her directly, does she believe this had anything to do with the allegations and the lawsuit that came forward? She said no. She didn't elaborate. She just said no. It had nothing to do with that. That is her take. She's entitled to how she views the situation and how and why it played out this way. So that was her take. Excuse me. So before that, she talked about how it impacted and affected so many people with them canceling 3 shows. I would say that to me, like I said, I already kind of spoke on Breakfast Ball a little bit, but to me, those 3 shows. Let's move Breakfast Ball to the side for a second. Speak in the facility, I could not tell you which show is which. It almost seemed like some of the people were interchangeable. I want to say, to me, it seemed like Emmanuel Acho was on both shows. It seemed like sometimes Joy Taylor was on both shows. It seems like the times they were back to back. Sometimes I couldn't really tell the difference between the shows, and that's not a good thing. So when you tune in and you click on my thumbnail and you say I'm going to watch his live stream, I want my live stream to you to be able to differentiate it from other live streams that you see. And if you have a show and you can't see the difference between those, I don't believe that's a winning setup just from the beginning, just from the aesthetics of it. So if I can't tell you who's on Speak and who's on the facility and get them interchanged, that's an issue. That means the shows are too similar. The people you have on there are too similar. The times are too similar. And people are going to pick and choose and probably just watch one. They're not going to watch both. So you're almost creating your own competition. And then those shows come on by the time, I want to say Speaker Facility, I'm not sure. I think it's 3 or 4 on the East Coast. So 3 or 4 on the East Coast, they're going against NFL Live. And NFL Live, just think about the name of it on ESPN. NFL Live is a straight NFL show. You know exactly what you're getting from that show. So where you have on the Fox side, kind of you're not sure what you're getting. You're kind of getting debate, kind of getting breaking news, kind of getting hot topics. So you're getting like a First Take Light on Fox Sports 1. You're getting a dedicated NFL show. So everybody knows that they're not going to talk about basketball. They're only going to talk about the NFL. So that is a very big thing when it comes to how they are just laying out the options of what you can watch during that time. So let's switch this thing up. I got an article from Awful Announcing, and they are speaking on what happened. And they're saying, where does Fox Sports 1 go from here? Let's get this up for y'all. All right, so I got the article up. So you see picture here. These are a lot of the people who've recently left Fox Sports 1. So you have Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce, I don't know if they're going to add him to another show. One thing I did start to know is Keyshawn Johnson, he's doing a podcast. I think it's called LA Legends. At the end of all these other shows, they have that LA Legends show, the ad for the LA Legends show. And I was like, okay, if something happens, they are definitely pushing this show. So that means that Keyshawn Johnson isn't going anywhere. Then you see Joy Taylor. Once you see Joy Taylor up there, you know she's gone. And they didn't renew her contract, so it's not even an option for her to go back. You see Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless is gone. Skip Bayless, catastrophic mistake he made was disrespecting the career and disrespecting Shannon Sharp. He thought that he wielded more power. When they started Undisputed, Skip was probably the bigger talent. By the time Undisputed ended, Shannon Sharp was definitely the bigger talent, and it was just hard. Skip didn't understand the dynamics of it. That's Carlson at the top. He was on Breakfast Ball. He came from New York radio. To me, he always seemed like a New York team. He was a homer for those teams, which is cool. You could be for your teams, but all his takes on other teams just seem to be very bad. Just poorly researched, and he would just diss teams. I was looking a lot of his stuff around the Shador draft, pre-draft, post-draft. It was times where some of the stuff that on his show, it was incoherent. Like when he was speaking, I was like, because I listen to stuff in fast speed when I'm doing research for the show, and I had to slow it down, and I was like, man, is this guy drunk on the show? Now, I don't think he was drunk, but it was just his speaking style was incoherent. So I was like, okay, this is not going to work. You see Shannon Sharp, that's the biggest L that Fox Sports took. They picked Skip over Shannon, and you see what's happened in Shannon's life work-wise since then. And then you see Emmanuel Acho there. So those are the people they have on Fox Sports. It is a one part of this I want to read from this in Awful Announcing. So here it is right here. So The cancellation of Breakfast Ball, the facility, and speaks to the failure of the network to create any programs that have stuck outside of its two remaining pillars in Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright. The Herd and First Thing First are the only programs that will now have survived 2 cycles of reinventing the entire Fox Sports 1 daily lineup. And Colin Cowherd, he has just a stranglehold. He does. You can get his stuff on radio. You can get his stuff on Sirius. Also, he has the show. He has variety. He doesn't stick to the same topics. So you get a lot from his show. He really brings in kind of experts in their field when he goes to the Joe Klatts and different people in college football. So he has a wider scope. First Things First, like I said, they have different segments that are only on First Things First. And if you mimic those segments on another show, people would know you just stole the idea from First Things First. Also, they're starting to branch out and go into more baseball, go into more NASCAR, which are other things that Fox has deals with. So those 2 shows are the only ones that survive. And you don't have it's not a big window of room from now to the football season. And whatever you're going to do in those time slots to fill up those 7 hours of shows, you got to do that in 2 months. And this is what happened when Shannon left Undisputed and Skip had a couple months. They were off and they just got all these people to come on and do Undisputed, and it just seemed thrown together. And he kind of was trying to emulate what Stephen A. Smith was doing with First Take. We're bringing on a lot of former athletes and having them debate and having a rotating cast and have a little win and all these things. To me, that formula is done. It would have been, and also another formula is done is talking about the same thing over and over again. One thing I vividly remember from Undisputed was if you watch the first couple blocks of Undisputed, you didn't have to watch the last half an hour. The last half an hour, they would just do shorter versions of the longer blocks that they did earlier in the show. And that was a Skip Bayless driven thing. And once I realized that, I was like, there's no point in watching the end of the show. And people fall for that mistake. So those are some of the mistakes that Fox has kind of ran into and just been struggling. And Colin and First Things First, they kind of got him, they got the leverage now. And that's the position you want to be in. You want to be the leverage where you see everybody else is failing. Now, when you go through 2 iterations of new shows and they all fail and you're still standing, you got the leverage. They got to just let you do what you do. So let's move this thing on along. That was from Awful Announce. And I did just want to read that one part there where they were breaking down how this is Fox Sports 1 going through another retool of their shows. All right, so now we're going to get into...
And then I got the news yesterday.
Whoops. Man, they just start talking. As soon as you pull them up on the screen, they start talking. So we're going to get into some of the people who were let go from Fox and how they found out. So Shady McCoy put up a quick tweet and said, man, I got fired on my day off. So to me, that says they didn't know these things were coming. They were still... going forward, like they thought they had a position, they thought they had a role, they thought they had a job. But Mark Schlereth is going to give us some insight into how he found out what happened. So let's get to Mark Schlereth and how he found out.
Yesterday, they canceled the show. Heard about that on social media before the executives from Fox actually called me, which is always a nice way to find out. But bottom line is, man, listen, I got an opportunity to do something that I didn't know I'd ever get the opportunity to do. And I am so grateful to all the people at Fox for all the guys that I work with, Ethan and Ketta and Zach and the guys, on support staff. You got Scott, you got Ian, you got Staloff, you've got Mikey, you got Troy, our research guy, for Danny Parkins and Craig Carton, who have become lifelong friends. Like, hey, listen, man, what an unbelievable 10 months. And you know what? The other thing is, Rich, you knew I grew up dyslexic and we have a nickname for me in the shop there at the radio is the Butcher, because when I have to read a live script, I'm like, oh, shoot, here we go. Let me, and you got a lot of work to do because you got to chop that damn thing up and go sentence by sentence to put it together half the time. But really, man, I've conquered that fear of reading out loud, that anxiety that takes me back to my childhood when I couldn't read and I was made fun of for being stupid. And, and has haunted me my entire life. That anxiety is over now. And I got to the point over the last 10 months, it's not as quickly as I wish it would have been, but I got to the point where I actually could run the show and be smooth and have fun and not worry about the anxiety of reading out loud and all those things. And so for the people who hired me at Fox, man, I have nothing but the utmost thanks.
Man, shout out to him for being vulnerable there, explaining what he went through with, him being dyslexic and him just having a fear of reading in public and in front of other people, and him being teased about it as a kid. That's a big breakthrough. So we kind of have these fears that, that are with us as we're younger, and then we carry them into we're older, and then they limit us. So he had that fear. I mean, he played in NFL, had to speak post-game press conferences and things like that. He actually calls games. He's good at calling games, live NFL games. He calls them. But his thing was reading. And I got to commend him for just being open and honest about that, because I didn't have a reading in public fear. I used to have a public speaking thing, which you would never think if you looked at me now. You'd say, man, you just stood up here and you can talk for hours. But I used to be a little nervous about speaking in front of other people. And I had different positions and different roles where I had to do it. And my voice will always crack. Like when you're really nervous and you sitting up there and, that's how my heart would be pounding. And I'm just, every time I'm speaking in front of people, my voice just cracking. And it doesn't even make sense, because if you listen to my voice rarely cracks. The whole time I'm speaking on this podcast, you won't hear my voice crack. But that was the nerves coming out of me. And I definitely commend him for being honest about that, because there's people who are nervous. They want to start a podcast and they're nervous about, putting their face on camera. They're nervous about putting their voice on camera. And I would say, just go for it. Just try it. What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is you don't like it, and then you try something different. But which thing would you be able to live with? Having a great idea and never pursuing it, or having a great idea, pursuing it, and it not working? For me, I'm always going to live with pursuing the idea and it not working, and it's something that I learned from me pursuing it. So that's big ups to him. Another thing, man, the way a lot of people think the corporate world works, things work in sports and entertainment, they always call athletes, and they want this professionalism, and they want this loyalty, and they want all these things from the athletes. But you see, he saw on social media his show got canceled before the executives at Fox called him and told him it got canceled. So you have 3 people on Breakfast Ball you had to call. You have between 3 and 4. Let's say we got 4 people on speak, and you got 4 people on the facility. You got to call 11 people, and y'all couldn't call those 11 people before the news got out, which that's messed up. That's the same way that athletes are starting to see that, or not athletes. That's the same way that fans of athletes are starting to see that teams do this stuff ruthless, and they just think that, oh man, the athlete is being stubborn, the athlete is being this. No, how many different times and ways are you going to see? Are you going to see billionaire owners, sports teams, media companies handle people poorly before you believe that it happens more than you think? And I think people are fighting with the idea of how things happen. Look at Cincinnati Bengals. At first, everybody said the Cincinnati Bengals should just sign their 17th overall pick, Shamar Stewart. And everybody said, oh, he should be happy to be in the NFL. Now, a month later, after people got all the news and they got the word about it, people are saying, oh, the Bengals tripping. They're a badly or a poorly ran organization. it's been people who've been saying they've been a poorly ran organization for years. And people, as they see more, now they want to be able to critique it and say, oh, this is messed up. It always been messed up. You just didn't see how it was being done to know that it was messed up. So I wanted to get to that. I really wanted people to see that. I really wanted people to see two things from there. I wanted to see what he was able to overcome in that 10 months, his reading and his fear of doing that in public and how he got better at it. And then also I wanted people to see that they didn't even have the decency to tell them before the news got leaked. So that's just crazy. So Fox Sports, man, you got to do better. Let's keep this thing moving forward. So Marcellus Wiley, I tell y'all, man, whenever I do something or I cover Marcellus Wiley, it's a big thing. Whoops. Man, everybody jump on my screen, just start talking. Calm down. You going to get your time. Well, I'm going to let you speak. I'm not going to just run it. So Marcellus Wiley, he was at Fox Sports 1. He is going to break down how he viewed everything that happened. So this is an hour long. Of course, I can't play the whole hour. If you want to see the whole hour, go to his show. But I think it's about a good 15 minutes of this that I want people to see. So let me get to it. Let me find the spots of where I'm like, man, that's really good insight there. So I think we can skip in a little bit while he's fixing how it's going to look and all that stuff. Okay, here we go. Let's get to it.
Like some kind of Compton energy, because I really don't hate people. I beef on something. So I ain't stupid. Y'all gonna make me a hater.
I had my mic on mute, so I had my mic on mute. So if you're listening to the audio playback version, it's my apologies about that. I'm over here talking to myself. People watching the video just see me talking. Let's get to it. Marcellus Wiley, everybody.
Joy Taylor, Keyshawn Johnson, Paul Pierce, Mike Irvin, wiped out. Even though a couple of them guys still got opportunity. I think Keyshawn gonna have some love going forward. Of all of those names so far, I think Keyshawn. But the point is, they all got fired for one reason. Because Fox FS1 decided to fire anything that Charlie Dixon touched and anyone associated with Charlie Dixon. I mean, you can see the through line, right? And I knew this.
All right, I just want to jump in real quick. Don't like to pause at this early, but I will say this. This is Marcellus Wiley's take. This is him saying that that's the reason why they were fired and let go. I do not know one way or other who, what, when, where, why. So this is him. This is not me. I just thought it was an intriguing breakdown of it. So let's keep it going.
Because people were telling me this, and I've been trying to tell you guys. See, the thing is, I protect the guilty. So Joy Taylor, Emmanuel Acho especially, I heard the most about them. And I couldn't say anything because I don't want to mess with their money, right? Whether we on speaking terms or not. And we don't, when I see them, I always love. I ain't seen Acho in a minute, but I see Joy still here and there. And it's love. But I'm still going to tell the truth because I love all y'all, but I love the truth more. So it's like, when I know something that is not flattering and I know that people are telling me real dope and I'm like, damn, I ain't gonna cut that up. I'm just gonna leave it there until it comes out. And then when it comes out, I'll respond. I don't need to be first to the party. I just wanna be right about that. So I never wanted to out Joy Taylor. I broke down some of her videos. Watch the videos now. After today, watch some videos I did on Joy or Emmanuel Acho. Then you be seeing the breadcrumbs. I'm like, I'm gonna give you some dope. So the real of it is Fox FS1, because of all the names in that lawsuit and the 2 lawsuits that they had, which they have settled. Those 2 lawsuits been settled. Told y'all that kind of in so many words, if not explicitly. So they get a lawsuit, and y'all know the people who were defendants. It was Skip Bayless, who wasn't in the building anymore, so not really their problem. Charlie Dixon, who was the head dog, not Eric Shank's head, like running FS1, but running. Everybody you saw on TV was because of Charlie Dixon. You had to have some kind of relationship. He had to have some kind of affinity for you, right? So that's how that went. And I knew Charlie Dixon way back 2007. Him and Jamie Horowitz helped me get into the game, Sports Nation, and then bringing Sports Nation west to LA in 2010, and then going to FS1 in 20.
So he's giving just a background on the people, so the who, what, when, where, why. Let's skip this thing forward when he's actually kind of getting to more of the information.
I can work with anybody. So I didn't look deep into like Acho. I was just like, all right, cool. And then when I started working with him, I was like, oh, okay, this dude want to be a star. That's good, because if he want to raise the tide, we all gonna ride and we all gonna get higher, right? And remember, this is about Charlie Dixon. I'm gonna get back to the story. So Charlie Dixon put this together. So it's me and Acho. And then it started to get weird, really weird. Gotta remember who my teammates have been over the years, right? Michelle Beto, Carissa Thompson, Kerry Champion, Max Kellerman, even Colin Coward, a little bit, doing Sports Nation with him. I go with my radio guys, but the point is, we've always had this real candid conversation of like, what you got going on, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. And this was the first time I didn't have that relationship with somebody, with Acho. He would act like he was candid, but he forgot I've known Charlie longer than him. So Acho would go to Charlie all the time and tell him all the things that he wanted. And some of those things he didn't want with me. Let's just say it nicely, right? And I knew it from hello, like day one. And I'm looking like, and then you working with somebody and they like, oh yeah, man, I love mustard. And then they going upstairs or they going somewhere else like, I hate mustard and I hate anybody that likes mustard. You're like, what? So he was like,
That's a revelation there. He's speaking on how Acho's alleged desire to be a star and a mainstay and a face of Fox Sports really drove a wedge in between them. Not like I hate you wedge, but more of a I'm gonna smile in your face and then I'm gonna go say something different to the bosses so I can keep myself looking clean and keep myself looking good. So that's him saying that about their relationship and him explaining how he knew the person that Acho was going to about these things longer than Acho, so he was getting word about what was actually happening. So, man, that's kind of crazy. One thing I think people forget in all of these situations, these are human beings. Human beings overall are flawed because we are always looking for our own survival, and it's just human nature, a lot of the stuff that happens. But a lot of times people act like they've never done anything wrong or they've never done anything that they wish they can take back, where they would say, man, if I could have that back, I would handle that differently. But that's human nature. Human nature is you're going to live and you're going to learn. You're going to do some things that are messed up and then, you're going to go forward. So I'll wrap it up by saying this. If you ever meet a person that's saying they never took an L or they never would change anything they've done in the past, you got to question that person. Because every person has things that they would change if they could, if they knew more. And then every person has taken L's. L's are how you learn and grow. If you think about people who go from industry to industry until they really find that industry or that niche for themselves, everybody does that. So if you ever hear somebody say never took an L, that's just a person that's lying to your face. So let's get back to Marcellus.
He was backstabbing me, and it's okay because that's the game. But the craziest thing is I kept hearing it from him, Charlie, others that are faces and names and personalities that work there. So I don't want to out them because, look, they told me in privacy and candid. So I'm working with a dude that I know that don't want to work with me. And then it happens. They start giving me these bad offers. I was like, ugh. Unbeknownst to me, that this lawsuit was going to come. And then that opened up everything in my mind.
Let me say this real quick. Two things. He said that he was being backstabbed. And then also, I hope y'all heard that. He said they just start giving him them bad offers. So whether you like Jason Whitlock, if you're a fan of him, if you're not, Jason Whitlock said that when it was time to renew his contract, they offered him, the offers were so bad that he had to say no. I'm not sure if it's this video, but Marcellus, in one of his videos, it might be this one, he was saying that he was making $2 million a year. They came in with an offer around $300,000 a year. So that's an offer where you have to refuse it because they're giving you, about 15% of what you used to make. So at that point, you're not going to accept that offer. So that's a side of the negotiations that people, they kind of never speak on, but that's a major thing. Who would take 10 cents on the dollar to do the job they're already doing? Nobody would take that level of pay cut. So that's a key with how they can still come out and say, we offered him, he didn't accept the offer, which is not a real offer if they're cutting you back by that much. So let's keep it going.
Because it now started to make sense. So here we go. Here's the real. The whole allegations against Joy Taylor and Charlie Dixon, real or fake, because I'm not going to do the courtroom. I'm just telling you there's real receipts out there that says, hey, that was real. And the most real receipt is Charlie, when the first lawsuit hit, they put him on administrative leave. Second lawsuit hit, they let him go. Then I knew, people were telling me, Joy ain't long for this. They're going to get rid of Joy. And I was like, damn. I was like, okay, so that must mean she's guilty. It was like, it's not even that deep. Guilty or not, we can't have her just hanging out here, having all of that cloud of allegation just in this building. Because other people were named in that lawsuit, not even as defendants. Y'all go through it from Eric Shanks on down. So they're like, Joy got to go. But ain't this fucked up? So Joy got to go. And everything that Charlie touched or didn't touch, I'm talking about in terms of shows, not just people. Y'all stupid. Everything had to go. So think about it. They ain't touching Colin. Colin's too great at what he does. He's his own industry. Colin's so gangster. Colin started a network on a network. They got so mad at Colin, they told him he couldn't promote his own volume on there. And he was like, all right. So guess what he started doing? He just started grabbing highlights and clips that the volume had done because it became news, and that's the only way he could promote it. He never could go out his mouth and say,
So when I'm giving Colin Cowherd praise, a lot of times when I'm giving him praise, the praise is not because I believe in all the takes he has. The praise is because he understands his leverage. So when they first initially got him, he understood his leverage. When they're going through this second rebuild of shows, he understands his leverage. He understood his leverage to the point where he started, like Marcella just said, he started a new network. He started a competing network while he was on a network. So think about that. You know, you are let's make it easy. You work at a factory that makes candy. You know, so remember this. You work at a factory that makes candy. And while you're working at that factory that makes candy, let me hit this sound. Let's pause this real quick. You work at a factory that makes candy. So while you're working at that factory, you create your own competing candy to go against the candy. Whoa. Hey. Gilbert. Who told you what's going on, man? You can't be interrupting my show, interrupting my thoughts, all in the videos. Man, come on. Somebody, Gilbert, what you doing, man? You taking me out. You interrupting my show. You gonna get your time to shine. We gonna give you your point, you know what I'm saying, on the stage. But back to Colin Cowherd. Yeah, Colin Cowherd is the person who works at the factory that makes candy, and then he starts selling his own candy on the side to compete. And then when they say, oh, you can't tell people that you wear this candy, he just wore his shirt that promoted his company on it while he was at work. Man. So you gotta, this is not about his takes. This is about he handles himself as a business. Colin also wanted to move out of LA. And instead of him saying, hey, no, this working with them, he said, I'm moving to Chicago. You got to figure it out. So they got like a Big Ten studio for Fox in Chicago. People are saying it's not the biggest studio, not as big as what they have in LA, but he's using his leverage and he's saying, hey, y'all got to figure it out because I'm moving to Chicago. So that's how you handle business when you're in a position of power, because when it's flipped and they have the power and the leverage, you'll find out on social media that the show that you own is canceled and they won't even call you. So you got to use that leverage. So shout out to Colin on the business side of it. Let's get back to Marcellus. Let's see.
the volume. He just started saying, look at this clip. And it'd be Draymond on his show. I don't want to hear that, y'all. We don't want that deposition. She was engaged. Y'all want to talk to Errol Watson, anybody? So I'm not going to guilt to innocent. I'm just saying there's some real receipts out there that can make this story go. So they're like, damn, we can't sit on Charlie. That grenade gonna blow up on us. So boom. I see you in the chat. Relam, you said you may not be happy, but you feel vindicated. Yeah, I feel something. Like I said, to start this video off, I'm not happy when anybody loses their way, loses their job, because I know how that can feel. You wake up that next day and you're like, damn, where the money going? Because now it ain't deposits, it's withdrawals, right? But this, we saw this coming and we all felt collectively, vindicated is not the word. We just saw it coming and was like poetic justice. Like we were like, yeah, the world does listen. The world does care about doing the right thing. So anyway, let's get back to Charlie. They can't keep Charlie. And that's messed, because Charlie had worked his ass off to get to that position. But all that, they had their own investigations. They figured it out. They were like, Charlie, we can't keep you. But then if you can't keep Charlie, why are you keeping Joy? I'm just giving you the dominoes and the collateral damage. We can't keep Joy. But we're gonna string it along because we can't threaten Joy. We can't just cut Joy off. You gotta let her bleed out. You can't choke her out. You can't just say, bye. You gotta let it go. So that was level 1. And that's back in like April, I think. And I'm like, damn, I'm sitting on this information. I'm like, ooh, they about to get Joy. But Joy going around doing the podcast, talking about it. So I'm like, go ahead, Joy, tell them. She's like, we still talk. You saw on the Breakfast Club, we still talking through it. I'm like, go get it. And then, this is the part that sucks. Because Charlie and Joy, allegedly, we got to get rid of both of them. Who else allegedly? Acho and Joy. So the crazy thing is, when I was working there, and Acho wasn't feeling me, but he was acting like he was, but then he's going to the boss, like every day to his house, and all the time. We all used to go to his house here and there. I would go like every 6 months. Acho was going every day for like 6 weeks. Like, it's crazy. I was like, all right, go ahead, enjoy. You know, teacher's pet stuff. I was like, go ahead. If you take my job, it ain't my job, dog. That was my mindset. Like, I'm not about to go kiss ass or just talk to somebody unnecessarily just so I can keep the gig. I wasn't gonna do that. No, that ain't pride. It's just like, dog, I'm not gonna be under your thumb. I'm 50 years old, dog. Like, if he don't like what I do, just tell me. So he did all that, but the streets, like I'm from LA, so it's satellites out here. People know me since 3rd grade. Everybody tell me, bartenders, waitresses, people out there like, yo, I seen your boy. I was like, okay. Yeah, I saw your boy with old girl. Talking about Acho and Joy. I was like, all right. He's like, they don't look like they just homies. I was like, all right. So they were basically trying to warn me, like, look, watch your ass. Then people in the building started saying, watch your ass, Wiley. I was like, why? Pause. And I was like, why? And they were like, they come to get you.
So I'm going to stop it right here. So remember earlier I played Joy's answer. They asked her directly, do they believe that this had anything to do with the allegations and the lawsuits that were brought to Fox? She said no. Acho, I'm sorry, Marcellus, that's the L on my part. Marcellus is saying he believes this is directly related to the lawsuits that were brought. Once they had to get rid of Charlie, he's saying allegedly they had to get rid of Joy too, and everything that Joy was a part of. So it's conflicting stories. Who do you believe? You know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments. Let me know. Do you believe Joy, that this has nothing to do with this, and that they just, you know, didn't want to renew her contract, maybe due to performance or maybe due to pay or cutting costs? Or do you believe Marcellus and say this is due to all the outside noise that was brought based on those allegations? So let me know what y'all think. I think it would be foolish to say this had nothing to do with the lawsuits. I think that's foolish to think. Nobody wants to be attached to those type of allegations. Nobody. No person individually, no company wants to be attached to those type of allegations. So to just say that it has nothing to do with that, I got to disagree. I got to disagree with you there. And this also leads into let me do a quick read on what we're going to get with the new show. So the new podcast that's going to be coming out, this just gave me a thought. So I'm just going to read something to y'all real quick. Where is it? So when I'm looking at different names and I'm saying, okay, how do I want to promote the podcast when it releases everywhere? I'm not going to tell y'all the name just yet. You got to wait for the name. But this is how I'm going to describe some of the podcast. So no hot takes for clicks, just real perspective. Let me start this over. No hot takes for clips, just real perspective. I call it how I see it, whether it's breaking down a big game or calling out the media for how they spin the story. If you want sports talk with no agenda, you're in the right place. So that's the idea I have, that I'm not going to dance around situations, even if they're tough. I'm going to pick a side and tell you how I feel about it. A lot of people won't just come out and say, oh, they think it's because of this or they think it's because of this. I'm going to be one of those people to say, this is the reason why I think this happened. So I think that's valuable. I think just giving a clear perspective and a view on things is good, because so much so we see on sports media where you don't get a clear perspective on how they feel about subjects. And I didn't want to be that person that kind of danced around subjects. So let's get back to Marcellus. This is a pretty long breakdown he's doing. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but let's get back to him.
Now, some people on the air right now that told me that didn't get fired, so I'm just going to let them live. But they were like, here's the play. They got rid of Whitlock for Acho. They're going to get rid of you for Joy. And that was the first time I was like, and then people tell me they're kicking it, hanging, going out to dinners and stuff. I was like, but that's what Acho do. He politicking. I was like, damn, all right, well. And then when they started giving me them bad offers and Charlie was my boy, I was like, dog, I was talking to Charlie, I was like, Charlie, why you ain't being straight up? What's cracking? I had to bring in some other people that Charlie respected and knew too. We had to have some real conversations. And Charlie just talking in circles and my spidey sense going off. I'm like, oh, y'all ain't really feeling me no more. That's all right. One thing I knew about people was my grandma and my mama be like, dog, don't ever go somewhere you ain't wanted. That includes work. I was like, nope, y'all ain't gonna treat me like this. So I'm laughing like,
man, some of those old sayings that, you know, our grandparents, our parents said, they make so much sense now as you're an adult. As he just said, you know, don't go somewhere you're not wanted, even if it's work. That's so true, because the weight and pressure you're going to put on yourself and the way you're going to walk on eggshells going through situations, it's not worth it. So he was smart. He saw the writing was on the wall. Go check out Marcellus Wiley, That Dude TV. It's an hour-long breakdown. We're not going to break down the whole hour, but I did want to get into how he was breaking down the situation, because to me, he gave some good insight, and also his viewpoints conflicted directly with Joy Taylor's viewpoints on why this happened. So just wanted to show you the yin and the yang to show you the difference of how people viewed this. Moving right along. So I've been looking into, you know, the media, how they cover things, and let's pause here. I've been looking into the media and how they cover things, and a lot of times, to me, the media is trying to tell stories, and they're not always relying on, you know, facts, the history of these sports, things we've seen happen so many times. They are more so, if I like you, I'm going to speak on you this way. If I don't like you, I'm going to speak on you this way. So here we have Cam Newton going at Ryan Clark. So they're going to, Cam Newton was interviewing Wale. Wale's an artist I really like. Last time he was here, so I like Wale a lot, actually. So Wale was on Cam's show. He asked him a question. They were speaking on Jaden Daniels. Ryan Clark took exception to it, and then this is Cam's response. The good thing is they're going to go back to it and break it down. So this is the next clip. Let's get to it. Cam Newton versus Ryan Clark.
Which you made on Funky Friday as you sat down with Wale. Mm-hmm. So let's get into it.
Fear Jaden Daniels could be a potential one-hit wonder?
Nah.
Seen a lot of success as a rookie season. There's nobody who had the game in a chokehold like Robert Griffin III. but RG3, bro, I have to tip my hat to him.
One of the GOAT rookie seasons of all time.
No, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I see that same thing happening for Jaden, and as you know, being in that community, do you fear that?
What did our good brother Ryan Clark have to say?
The problem I have with what Cam said about Jaden.
Let me pause it real quick right here. So what Cam Newton is getting to when he was interviewing Wale is he's getting to the sophomore slump. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks have that great rookie year, sophomore season. They got game film on you. They have an idea of your tendencies. They can break it down the whole offseason. They have an idea of your cadence. They have an idea of your throwing style. They have an idea of what how hot routes that you like the most based on certain situations. So I don't think that Cam Newton is saying anything crazy here. We've seen a history of guys be great as rookies and then kind of come back to earth a little bit in year 2 and then retool it, and then their career takes off in year 3. So this is not, to me, this is not him saying he wants to see him be bad. This is him acknowledging the history of what we've seen countless times in the NFL. So I don't think that's anything crazy to say. Let's get to Ryan Clark and what he says.
Or even the line of questioning when speaking to Wale is Cam has to understand the weight of his voice. Yeah. Cam has to understand that you also won a Heisman, that you were also a top 2 pick. He was number 1 overall. Jaden was number 2. You were also Rookie of the Year. So when you start to speak this way, people look at you from your experiences. You're the expert, right? And then now you flip it to Jaden. Legitimately does nothing to anyone. Nope. Leads his team, plays football, stays out of the way, works his butt off.
Press pause.
So the first thing I'm going to say about that is, Ryan Clark is tone policing other people's takes. He's tone policing. He's not saying anything Cam Newton said was wrong. He's saying you shouldn't say it because this is a good dude. Let me remind you, 6 to 8 months ago on the Pivot podcast, I broke this down. Bronny James, you could describe him the same way you were describing Jaden Daniels. Hasn't done anything wrong. Doesn't get in any trouble. Has been a model citizen, like he was describing Jaden Daniels. You had Channing Crowder saying Bronny should not be on an NBA court. Does the same thing not apply to your podcast? Do people not view y'all as experts speaking on sports? Do people not view y'all's view of somebody and it could change someone else's view of somebody? Or is that only for people when you don't like what they say? Does it count across the board because y'all don't hold yourselves to that standard? I broke down the Pivot podcast when they were speaking on Bronny James, and they were saying he's not an NBA player. More specifically, Channing was saying that. Now you see Bronny in Summer League. Does Bronny still not look like an NBA player in year 2? Has the Pivot podcast came out? Has Channing Crowder came out and said I was wrong? He looks like an NBA player? Does their voice not hold weight? Do people don't look at them as sports experts? Because we had to hear Channing didn't just start this. Channing's been on the radio in Miami. He's been covering games. He's been coaching teams in youth. Do you even hold this standard on your own podcast? I'm going to say no. Because we've seen situations happen and you were not saying, hey, this could tarnish the view of this person. And you laughed it up when Channing was saying those things about Bronny. So my issue with people who tone police other people, they usually don't even hold themselves to that standard. They don't. I don't care about the tone. I don't care about the tone of how you say things. If this is something you stand on, this is how I view things, whether I agree or disagree with you. I want you to stand on exactly how you feel. And I want you to put it out there. And I want it to be clear. And I don't want to have to guess because I want to know exactly where you stand. I don't care about the tone or how you say it. Tone doesn't impact me. Tone doesn't affect me. When I was 6 or 7 years old, maybe I thought tone mattered. The age I'm at now, tone doesn't matter. I want to know where you stand at. I more so care about how you view situations than how you say you view situations. So this is going to be an L for me. Let's see how Cam breaks this down. Let's go, Cam.
Right there.
But just wanted to quote this. It said, no matter how much thought you put into it, it's going to be seen as hate.
Let me follow up because they did add that part. No matter how much thought you put into it, it's going to be seen as hate. Could we not say this exact same thing about the Pivot podcast speaking on Bronny James? Could we not say the same thing? Don't throw stones when you live in a glass house, is all I got to say. Let's see what Cam has to say.
All right. So a lot of times, Cam, you make statements and people view you as a quote unquote hater. I'm not going to say all people, but some people, and especially the person or the people that it is affecting. But then also, I want you to talk about what is seen or deemed as hate as you keep it quote unquote real with people.
In honor of one of my favorite baseball players of all time, Ken Griffey Jr., Peggy, I'm about to knock this one out the park.
All right now, brother.
Let's change the commodity real quick.
Okay.
The commodity in that being music. There's gospel. There's country. There's pop. There's R&B. There's hip hop. There's electric. But is it music?
It is.
Now, the message right here is, even though we're talking about sports, is it a debatable topic?
It is.
And it's multiple ways to skin a cat. Or in this case, it's multiple ways to tell a story. Now, here's my issue with what Ryan Clark said. Ryan, you've been in the locker room. There's not one clear-cut person that is a leader. And even with that person, that leader doesn't lead like the next leader. I'll go a step further. When you go on any team, there's multiple coaches. Everybody doesn't coach the same. Get to your point, Cam. Say less. Well, when you're covering sports, there's not a right or wrong way to talk about sports. It's multiple ways or different angles that you can go and attack. This is what I have to say about you, Mr. Ryan Clark. You've basically admitted that just because Jaden Daniels doesn't do anything to anybody, he's a model citizen, he does everything right, that doesn't mean that we can't critique his game. I find that mighty strange.
There you go. He brought it on home. So everybody fights for people to only talk about people's actual game. And then when you speak on their actual game and you speculate on the potential of something happening, now you can't say that. That's why I say the tone police thing does not work for me. People will try to tone police me. I don't go for it. I'm going to say how I feel about a subject. You don't have to do so what you're saying is, no, I'm saying exactly what I said. That's what I'm saying. If you want to know what I said, rewind it back. I'm not the person that dances around with words. That's not me. So I really like what Cam just said right there. It's multiple ways you can view a situation. It's multiple ways you can look at it. What he said was, it was more of a question. It wasn't him saying this is exactly what's going to happen this year. He's saying, are you worried, concerned, nervous about this happening this year? Speaking on Wale, who is a Commanders fan and has been their brand ambassador. He's been a fan for a long time. So I think that's a legitimate question to ask going into year 2. Who are the rookies last year? You got Caleb Williams. You have Drake May, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix. Who had the best years out of them? This is not in order. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, probably Bo Nix. I would say they had the top 3 years last year. Would you make this stance if anybody said they could potentially have a sophomore slump and not do as well as they did in year 1? Would you defend anybody that way? Or would you only defend Jaden Daniels that way? Because the way you were saying it, you would only defend Jaden Daniels that way. You wouldn't defend Bo Nix that way. You wouldn't defend Caleb Williams that way. That's where it's tone policing, and that's where I can't go for it. I can't get with it. So let's go back to Cam. Let's go, Cam.
Because like me, love me, hate me, despise me, one thing that you can always say about Cam Newton is, I'm going to keep it a buck. And it doesn't matter if I'm talking to a person that I really know, Shannon Sharp, about a person that I really like, Shedeur Sanders. Doesn't mean if I talk about a person who I know firsthand and seen him rise, Justin Fields, the list goes on. I still have to do my due diligence as a member of the media to voice my opinion. Will you? Oh. We want to play it safe. Safe don't get you nowhere. And this may ruffle a lot of people's feathers, but the truth is, when you play it safe, it gets you cut. Stephen A. doesn't play it safe. That's why Stephen A. is still employed. Colin Cowherd doesn't play it safe. See, right now, there is a shift in media right now because who's really winning? And every single person that you'll say is winning, they have their own distinct style and their own distinct way of their message. So for me and my platform, or in our platform, Peggy, and 4th and 1, I just ask that people respect it. I don't want to be safe. Never wanted to be safe. Never wanted to be safe in how I live. Never wanted to be safe on how I play the game of football. Never wanted to be safe in nothing. I wanted to be intentional. Everybody knows when they call Cam Newton, it's going to be one thing, box office. Everybody knows.
So Cam just brought it home there. If you look at everybody he named and the question he asked, it's a very legitimate question. Who are the people who are winning in media? If you want to put Stephen A. in there, you can say Stephen A. Stephen A. has his distinct style. Colin Cowherd has his distinct style. Nick Wright has his distinct style. The people who you can't determine one from another, the people who unfortunately lost their jobs at Fox Sports 1, the Keyshawn, the Shady McCoys, Emmanuel Achos, the James Jones, Paul Pierce. What makes them stand out from one another? The only one that stands out to me out of all those is Emmanuel Acho, and it's not for a good reason. It's for his takes being so wild and so bad. So what Cam is saying here, I totally agree with. You have to have your own style. You have to have your way to deliver a message. You have to have something that makes you different from the next person to make people tune in, to make people want to watch it. If you're going to have blind spots, this is a blind spot. So a blind spot for Ryan Clark is, oh man, Jaden Daniels is such a good kid. He has such a great year. I'm not going to critique him. I'm not even going to question if he can have they got a name for it. It's called a sophomore slump. The sophomore slump goes across all sports. If you are going to have a player who you like personally and you're not going to acknowledge they potentially could have a sophomore slump, that's a blind spot. I give you a blind spot with me because I don't just give you, I don't just critique other people. I don't just put blind spots on other people. I'm going to tell you all a blind spot with me. So I used to sports bet. I stopped. I had a blind spot. I'm a Browns fan. The Browns not going undefeated. So it was times I overvalued what I thought the Browns could do. And I would lose bets. I thought they could keep a game close and they would get blown out. I thought they could win against a bad team and they would lose. I realized I had a blind spot. I can't bet on the Browns. It's too much emotion. Even when I'm just picking over and under and I just say, you know what? Got to cut it. Blind spot. I acknowledge my blind spot. It's just like having a bias. I'm a Cleveland sports fan. I'm going to have some bias there when it comes to the Cleveland teams. I can acknowledge that. A lot of people have, everybody has bias. It just depends on if you're willing to admit it. So I'm not just going to call out other people for this. I'm going to call out myself for it too and acknowledge it. So Cam Newton is exactly right. Do you want to be the person who people can't tell if you're speaking or if 72 other people are speaking? Or are you going to be the person that takes the chance and goes out there, takes the chance and take that risk, takes the chance on having that hard stance, take the chance on getting behind a player and root for them because you see something else in them? Let's bring it to Cleveland for a second. Before the draft, I said I wanted the Browns to take Shedeur Sanders. I thought he was the best quarterback to fit Kevin Stefanski's system, and I thought he could bring the Browns success. I said that before the draft. I said that during the draft. I said that after the draft. When we drafted Dylan Gabriel, I was crying like Stewie. This was me. I was like that because I thought there was no way we was going to take Shedeur after taking Dylan Gabriel. And we still ended up taking Shedeur. And then I was hype again. Oh, man, I was like this. Standing ovation to the Browns for taking Shedeur. Because I was willing to put how I view Shedeur as a football player and a person, and I was willing to align with that and put my name and attach to it. That's the difference. It's going to be times where you got to be willing to put your views out there, even if people disagree. We're going to get to that later in the show. It always comes up where you got to pick a side. Still dancing around the name of the podcast. It's coming. I even started when I said, you know what, I'm going to keep pushing this thing further. I'm going to do a podcast, and I'm going to have it available everywhere you listen to podcasts. And when I was coming, I was thinking of ideas. I was thinking about names and all this stuff. And the basis of it is, it's not called pick a side, but basically you got to pick a side. If you're talking on the subject, give your view on the subject, not dance around the subject. So if you notice one thing that's always underlying current, every topic that I go over, of course, it's a synergy where I'm giving you the flow, the ups and downs of a show, pulling the emotion, all those things. But the other thing to it is, I'm always telling you exactly how I feel about it. I'm not skipping how I feel about a subject. I'm always saying, you know what? I'm here, I'm there on this subject. That's the difference. And this shows that that's not what Ryan Clark does. This shows that he has a blind spot for people. Not to mention, Jaden Daniels went to LSU. Ryan Clark went to LSU. From Louisiana. Or LSU is in Louisiana. Ryan Clark is from Louisiana. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels is from Louisiana, but he went to school. Y'all get it. So you can create a blind spot, and you can identify that blind spot and then accept it and then work around that blind spot by acknowledging it and not acting like it's not there. Or you can put that blind spot there and then hide behind that blind spot or hold other people to the stance and the view of the blind spot that you have. And that's not going to be me, but it seems like that's going to be Ryan Clark. So let's see if there's anything else we need from this. I think Cam crushed this take. This is a 20-minute video. We're only less than 6 minutes in. Let's see if we need anything else from this video. Let's go, Cam.
No, when they call Cam Newton, I ain't swinging to get on first base. I'm swinging for the fences. And while you swing, yeah, you may strike out. And everybody may be pointing at you going to the dugout, but guess what? I swung. So don't take what I'm saying as creating a false narrative in us beefing. No, I respect Ryan Clark, but Ryan Clark's safe. I'm not. So at the end of the day, while you critiquing who and what I am, please understand that I'm box office, baby. And if you don't like it, you at least commented about me. That still feeds my algorithm. I make content for the barbershop because I grew up going to the barbershop. God has blessed me that I don't got to go to too many barbershops now. That don't mean
This whole take, I think Cam Newton crushed it. I'm not saying there's not going to be times that I disagree with his stance, but it's a very key thing that he said here. He said, I'm going to swing. Even if I strike out and y'all point at me and y'all laugh at me and y'all try to clown me because I swung, I still took the chance and I swung. When I hit the home run, you're going to applaud me. You're going to be clapping. Y'all going to be in the background like this. But I still took that chance. I swung. That's a great way to view how you go about life. Two people. You can be the person that does everything safe, never takes no risks, and you can live with those results of it. And then you have people who are willing to take the risk because they're willing to go for the bigger reward. Which person do you want to be? You got to live with that decision that you make on which side of the fence you end up on, if you take a risk or if you don't take a risk. So I think this was great. It's just so much that Cam Newton said there that, what people want to do is, I saw in the comments, people were saying, oh, you play it safe because you didn't die for the football and the Super Bowl and all this stuff. And yeah, that's easy. But he even addressed that when he said, I swung and struck out and y'all just pointing your fingers laughing at me, but I still swung. That's the difference. People think that they're going to get you not to swing the next time because they laughed at you for getting you striking out. No, you just go to the next. You block it out. Go to the next one. Man, he got me on that one. Man, that fastball, 98 miles an hour, inside by my wrist. I thought it was too close. He got me, struck me out. I'm just gonna swing for the next one. I know that when it's close, I gotta put it in my hands and swing versus leaving it up to the umpire. That's what Cam Newton is saying. So I really wanted to highlight this because on so many levels, this is just life lessons that you're getting from Cam Newton right here. Life lessons. So shout out to Cam. Shout out to Cam. All right, let's keep this thing moving forward. So, as y'all know, I'm missing something. So we have.
Ask you, who is the best quarterback?
Let me pause this real quick. We have Shador going into. We got Shador. We on the Browns now, y'all. We got Shador. Shador went to the hood, and he. Do I have it? I'm supposed to have a clip here. Let's start this clip off, and then I'll find it. I actually, no, we're not going to do that. I got to find this clip real quick. So let me pause for station identification. Let me give you all a quick ad, and I need to find this clip. Help us out. Take your live stream to the next level with Streamlabs. Easy setup, pro overlays, built-in alerts, and all the tools you need to grow your stream with a free 7-day trial of Streamlabs Ultra. Start streaming smarter at streamlabs.pxf.io/OTRDEE. When using this link, we'll get a percentage of each sale, and it'll really help us out. Take your live stream to the next level with Streamlabs. Easy setup, pro overlays, built-in alerts, and all the tools you need to grow your stream with a free 7-day trial of Streamlabs Ultra. Start streaming smarter at streamlabs.pxf.io/OTRDEE. When using this link, we'll get a percentage of each sale, and it'll really help us out. Shout out to y'all for bearing with me. Hopefully y'all like that ad read. Links are in the description. Streamlabs, link is in the description. Fanatics, link is in the description. It really helps out the channel. If you are looking to become a streamer and you need all the tools you need to stream great, you definitely want to look into Streamlabs. You get a 7-day free trial of Streamlabs Ultra. Ultra, you get everything. You get the podcast editor. You get video editor. You get the live streaming. You get the Streamlabs desktop. You can stream from a web browser. So all the functions you need to put together a good live stream if you use Streamlabs. Also, Fanatics get you closer to the game with your officially licensed gear. So check out Streamlabs, Fanatics. Both links are in the description. Let me refresh the chat right here. Been a while. All right, so good. We got it. All right, so now we're moving along to the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, the rookies reported to camp. Rookies and quarterbacks reported to camp yesterday. So we have, this is 93 The Fan. We're going to hit this story first. We got 93 The Fan. We have Nathan Zagura is going to be a guest on the King Carmen show. They also got Jason Lloyd up there. So fair use for me using this. We're going to get to this as they talk about Browns camp. Let's get the speed push forward just a tad bit, 1 1/4, and let's go.
Quarterback on the Browns roster right now.
You're gonna wake up this kid with that question straight out of the gates.
Yeah, right out of the gate. I think we're going to find that out. The winningest quarterback on the Browns roster is Kenny Pickett in terms of just career win percentage. Obviously, Joe Flacco had a great run with us a couple of years ago, going 4-1 in his 5 games, throwing for 300 yards every game. And then you have the rookies that we haven't seen necessarily in the National Football League. Browns taking Dylan Gabriel first, who was incredibly successful in college, started more games there, 3 more touchdowns than anybody. Had seasons with 32 touchdowns and 6 or fewer picks with 3 different schools. So you know that he's going to be a quick study and acclimated quickly to the National Football League. But there are questions, obviously, about his size. And then you've got Shador Sanders, who, by all accounts, was a first or a second-round talent, even from his detractors on tape, that the Browns were able to get in the 5th round. And I think he's been very impressive in the early going, not only in terms of his ability to throw the football where he wants it, his ball placement, but then what he's done behind the scenes. And in terms of understanding what it takes to play quarterback in the National Football League, all the pre-snap things, all of the play calling, all of those things that he really wasn't asked to do much of in Colorado through no fault of his own. And he's been very impressive. So I think we're going to find the answer out to that question. I think what Browns fans really should hope and be more concerned with is not necessarily that we know that answer today, but that at the end of the year, there is a quarterback that you feel comfortable saying, this is the guy. And you can do kind of what the way the Chicago Bears did it and really build a franchise very quickly, starting with 2 first-round picks next year. But that can only come if you've got that guy.
So, Nathan,
So, Nathan Zagura there, they asked him about the quarterback situation. I definitely agree that you definitely want to find out what you have on this roster now. You don't just want to punt and go into next year and start the whole process over again. When you drafted 2 guys in this year's draft, you want to see what you have in those guys. So I definitely agree there. Now that we have training camp started, you're going to get more content from me, more breakdowns. Really soon, the live schedule is going to change. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and you're tapped in so you can be notified. The live schedule is going to change. When football season starts, we're going to really push this thing into the next gear and take off with the amount of streams we're going to do, different streaming ideas, shows that y'all going to be able to be a part of. So you definitely don't want to miss out. So like, comment, subscribe so you can be a part of what we have going forward. So you definitely want to be a part of it. Let's get back to the next question with Nathan Zagura.
I have appreciated about this iteration of the Browns is that I know for a fact they are going to move heaven and earth to figure out what the best practices to roll out a training camp like this with this very complicated QB situation. I don't doubt that Andrew Berry, his staff, Kevin Stefanski, his staff, have looked over every iteration of the NFL anytime anything like this has popped up and how to get the team ready, how to get the quarterbacks ready to at least evaluate them and to get the best out of them. But I also think it is very complicated. I wonder, how are they going to, get the reps to the guys that need it and also evaluate them in the best way?
Yeah, and I think that's probably the million-dollar question and one that we should start to get answers on as we get into camp. The way that kind of I see it, this is not gospel, these are not scores, this is just the way that I see it, is my guess is the initial plan is going to be to get Kenny Pickett ready to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in week 1. And you have to understand, number one, he's been very successful in this division in his career, 15-10 as a starter. He's got the 7-game winning drives. Many people thought this was the type of offense, and in fact, when Arthur Smith went there, that would have been best suited to Kenny Pickett's skill set. Now, he obviously never played in that offense. So I think you want to get him right. Still young, former first-round pick on his rookie deal. Potentially, could he be the guy down the road? You never know. But also, he's somebody that, let's say he has a very good year, that could net you a big-time compensatory pick if that ends up being the case. So my guess is he's going to get the first crack at it. I think Joe Flacco is here in the case that Kenny Pickett, falls on his face and the rookies are not ready to go week 1. And then obviously you can plug Joe Flacco in, and we know what that looks like. And it's looked great with the Cleveland Browns.
So I'm going to pause him here. He's kind of saying that what they think they have or believe they have in Kenny Pickett. So there's been a long summer of speculation with everything with the Browns quarterback. And people are trying to give reasons why fans don't believe in Kenny Pickett. And I believe it's in this episode, Nathan Zagura is going to say, we've been conditioned to not like Kenny Pickett because he was the Steelers quarterback. We're rooting against him. We're rooting against the team. There are people who can break down the difference and say, I don't think he is a supremely talented quarterback in the NFL. I don't think that's because he played for the Steelers. We're just looking at his body of work. We're looking at what he did for the Steelers. Everybody goes to, oh man, he had the 7 game-winning, comeback drives late. Okay. I always viewed Kenny Pickett as a quarterback who was timid. He was afraid to let the ball go. He had some weapons. People always want to, when they talk about Kenny Pickett, they blame the offensive coordinator. They blame the lack of stability around him. They blame him being thrown into the fire. They blame all these things. When they speak on the Browns, they eliminate all those passes that they gave Kenny Pickett for not having success, and they take all those passes away for any player who doesn't have success with the Browns. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I saw so many times where Kenny Pickett was afraid to throw more talented receivers open and give them a shot at it. He had Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson had a great year when Kenny Pickett was there. But if you look at George Pickens, when they had Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. I remember Deontay Johnson, I think he went like a year and a half without scoring a touchdown. He had the yards but never had a touchdown. And it was just, not getting his guys open. So how can you be a guy who can win your matchup in open field and in space, and they can't get you can't get a touchdown? So it's stuff like that where they got to stop making excuses for why people don't view Kenny Pickett highly. Everybody, that draft that Kenny Pickett came out of before he stepped on the NFL field, everybody said that was a weak draft class for quarterbacks. And Kenny Pickett was an older quarterback when he was coming out because he played, I want to say 4 years. So they thought that he was closer to where he was going to be as an NFL prospect. We saw him last year when he got his start in Philly. He got injured and he didn't look that good with all the weapons they have around him in Philly. Also, when they were in minicamp, I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, but it really set off the alarms in my head where Kenny Pickett was saying it's going to take him a while to pick up this offense. He said it was going to take him a while to do it. And I was like, even if the playbook is hard and it's going to take you time, that's not what you want to be putting out there in the public when you're in a quarterback competition. Another thing people act like he didn't want out of Pittsburgh as soon as they signed Russell Wilson. He didn't want to be a part of competition in a situation where that team drafted him. It's a lot of reasons why people view Kenny Pickett the way they do. Not just because he played for the Steelers. It's because we just don't see I don't see the upside to playing Kenny Pickett more than you play the rookie quarterbacks, because we're looking at the long term. You got to be doing two things at once this year. You got to be finding out if you have a guy for now and for the future. And Kenny Pickett doesn't fit that. If Kenny Pickett has the best year this year and the Browns go 10-7, are we re-signing Kenny Pickett to a long-term extension? No. Everybody knows that. So if that's the case, why would we waste so much time trying to get him ready and putting him in position? It just doesn't make sense to me. And a lot of people are saying it, and I'm like, nah, I can't get with this Kenny Pickett thing. A lot of people are, even Mary Kay, which y'all know, Mary Kay was all Kenny Pickett. Even she came out and said he hasn't looked good, or he hasn't popped off the page, is what she said, in none of the practices or camps that she's seen. And that's the guy I'm supposed to believe in. And all of this is supposed to be because we are making excuses for him that we wouldn't make for anybody else. How many people do you hear say Shador had a terrible offensive line, so that could have led to some of his drifting back? You never hear people give him that pass. But I'm supposed to give Kenny Pickett 4 different passes for what happened in Pittsburgh? People never say, oh, Dylan Gabriel, we're going to give him a pass for his height. So we're just going to accept the fact that he gets passes batted down. They don't say that. They say if he was 3 inches taller, he would be a way better prospect. That's what they say. So how is Kenny Pickett the one we giving all these concessions to? I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. I'm not blinded by the fact that he played for the Steelers. Joe Flacco played for the Baltimore Ravens. So saying that we're blinded by Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco is known for being a Ravens legend. So if we can accept Joe Flacco, how could we somehow not be able to accept Kenny Pickett? It's a talent thing and what people think he will be able to do. That's the difference. Stop making it like fans can't understand the difference. So that's just one of those. I don't even got to get to it when he kind of says it. That's the gist of what he says. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's move on to something more positive. Let's move on to something more good. With the Browns taking so many hits in the media this week, one person he's carrying the flag for the Browns and how they're being viewed by the outside is Shador Sanders. So all these question marks coming into the year for Shador from the outside. Can he be a leader? Will his teammates respect him? Does he have the arm talent? Can he get the playbook? All these different things. He is the one who is kind of giving us a distraction to the unfortunate situation we have going on with Quinshon Judkins is Shedeur Sanders. And that is what a face of the franchise does. So let's get to it. This is WKC. This is Cleveland Channel 3. This is their story on Shedeur Sanders from a couple days ago. Let's go.
Browns rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders is already making a mark in Cleveland.
Tonight, he hosted a community fundraiser to support victims of last month's apartment fire and explosion at Rainbow Terrace Apartments. Hundreds gathered and turned out for the Garden Valley Fun Fest, which featured music, food, and plenty of family fun. We spoke with the director of Keratin Barber and Cosmetology College as they gave out haircuts during today's event.
It's amazing to watch how these kids are attracted to somebody of great character. And to see him come and just get involved, it means a lot. It means a lot to the community to know that people care.
The fundraiser comes after an explosion and fire displaced some residents last month at the Rainbow Terrace Apartments.
We got to clap it up for sure. That's my quarterback right there. So Shedeur definitely doing great work in the community. So you remember I was going in on all these national people who were saying, oh, Shedeur doing this stuff because he's trying to have positive PR. Do you see how quick that narrative just fell off and they don't even say it anymore because he's done so much more in the community? That's one thing. Bomani Jones, we ain't forget about you. We ain't forget about you. You were saying Shedeur was lying. We ain't forget about you, Bomani. Mary Kay, we heard what you said. At this point, there's no reason for me to even put Mary Kay on my show. I told y'all from the beginning, Mary Kay, I showed y'all what she was about. I'm not even going to put her on the show. But we saw that you tried to diminish Shedeur's impact in the community and say, oh, that's just, that's just what they do. That's good for him. We saw it. We didn't forget. Oh, Dylan Gabriel, I'm sure he's doing good things too. You sure of it? Without any proof. Okay. All right. Couple things I want to say about this. So when I first saw Shedeur post, he posted on his IG that he was going to be going to Garden Valley. And I showed it to my girl. I'm like, Shedeur going to the trenches. Now, I'm not saying that as a person on the outside. I'm saying as somebody who grew up in Cleveland, grew up on the east side. My dad actually, for a time of his childhood, lived in the old Garden Valley. So this is not somebody just speaking on, they don't know what they're talking about. Shedeur, in another interview, I think he did with Cam Justice, he's going to say people told him not to go there because it's the hood. It's the hood. So that's one thing that you definitely got to clap it up for Shedeur for him saying, you know what, this impacted me so much that I'm going to come here and make sure I just don't send money, but I come out here, I touch the people, I make a impact on these kids because hope is for kids, and he's giving those kids hope. And he put together a great event for them. That's one thing. Next thing. These kids are never going to forget the time that they met Shedeur Sanders. Regardless of what Shedeur Sanders' career turns out to be, regardless of what he does as an NFL quarterback, these kids are never going to forget this moment that he was there with them. They're never going to forget the moment that when they were, he's throwing them passes. They're never going to forget that. I'll tell y'all a story. So I'm one of those people. I remember a lot of stuff from my childhood. I remember things vividly from my childhood that I can just recall back in my memory. And the first athlete that I met was Carlos Baerga. He was, I believe he played shortstop or third base, one of those two. He was in the infield. I know he wasn't first base. I think he was shortstop or second base, one of those two. I can't remember. But Carlos Baerga, I met him. We took a field trip to at the time it was the Cleveland Indians, where they used to play. And he actually signed a baseball. He signed one for everybody. And I got a baseball and it was in glass. I ended up losing it. After that, I never really lost anything else in my life. I'm one of those people, I get so frustrated if I lose something. But I still remember that field trip. I still remember him signing it. I still remember meeting him. That's when I was in elementary school. My first job I had was at Geauga Lake when it was still Geauga Lake before Six Flags took over. My first year it was Geauga Lake still. When it was Six Flags, him and his family were at Six Flags. I remember meeting him again. And it just brought back all the memories that I had when I met him the first time as a young kid. And just the hope that it gave me. These kids are not going to forget that. I guarantee you, anybody who as a child has met an athlete, especially if you're in the sports, the hope that it gives you and just being able to see them in real life and interact with them, you will never forget that moment. These kids are never going to forget this moment. This was the tragic thing that happened, the fires that happened there, and all the people that got displaced. And instead of him just sending a check, he showed up to spend and give his time with them. And this should be celebrated. This should be highlighted. This should not be spent into he's doing this for PR, because the PR thing would have been just to send money, not to set up a whole event and spend time with them and not be reaching and touching them and spending time with them. So he's bringing hope to the city, and he's not just going to the upper class. He's willing to meet with all walks of life, all kids, and give them hope and show them that, you know, you got hope, keep pushing. So that was a long-winded way of me saying shout out to Shador, shout out to him being just a beacon of hope for those kids. Shout out to him for that. So now that we have made this thing through, we hit the Joy Taylor fired or contract wasn't renewed. We hit the Fox Sports 1. The media landscape is changing in front of us. We got Marcellus Wiley's breakdown. We got the Cam Newton versus Ryan Clark. Whether you watch from the sidelines or you actually get in the game and actually swing. Even if you strike out, you actually went up there and swung. We go to the Browns. People saying Kenny Pickett could have this revival year. I don't see it. We go to Shador, the feel-good story of Shador, him bringing hope to the city of Cleveland, not just on the football field, but more importantly, off the football field, giving back to the youth and the community. Now we're going to get to the NBA. Let's go to the NBA. And shout out to Podcast P.
You played your last season.
Hey. I'm going to give you a chance to speak. I'm going to give you a chance. Let me set it up. P, come on, man. Why you disrupting my show? My bad, John, man. You know, he like to talk. You know, he got a little podcast. He like to say something. But let's get to it. So the free throw merchant thing, I kind of hinted at the free throw merchant thing earlier when I was talking about Nick Wright and his takes that could have took him left. And he could have veered off track and got off course of where, you know, how he normally speaks on things. But Podcast P has been having some great guests, and it's almost like every week I want to grab something from his show, but I'm like, man, I can't keep going back to the same podcast every week. But this is one of those ones where I was like, you know what? Shea just won the Sportsman of the Year at the ESPYs. He won all the awards this year. He was the MVP, Finals MVP. He was All NBA First Team, got the big contract. And now he won the ESPY. So I was like, you know what? It's a time we still giving Shea his flowers. We're going to get into this subject. So this is 7 minutes long. We're not going to play the whole thing. Shout out to Podcast P for this player-driven media. Not the gimmicks, not the games. Just player-driven media and what they're doing. So this is Baron Davis, B. Diddy. He played for, let me tell y'all something. Baron Davis is the reason why the Cavs were able to get Kyrie Irving. So the Cavs, Baron Davis was on the Cavs. We traded him to the Clippers. I can't remember who we got back in that trade, but more importantly, we got back the Clippers' first-round pick, and now it ended up being Kyrie Irving. So shout out to Baron Davis, always. Look it up. Look it up. Fact check me. Fact check me. Let me know in the comments. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Am I misremembering this? Let me know. Let's get to it.
And for them, obviously, JB, superstar point guard, ball dominant point guard. He's proven that he can take over games, been the clutch player of the year. Do you see that winning in the future, especially how the league is now? Do you see that as a recipe for winning?
At first, I didn't.
Yeah.
But he's so cold, bro.
He cold. He
Hey,
tough.
bro, he's so cold. Y'all can't f- with this dude,
Yeah.
bro. Nobody can stop him. My problem with that series is if you watch what happened where Indiana was successful is half court started to become another defender and a problem for him. So bringing the ball up the court against pressure, then you get that pick and roll happening damn near right by half court. So he ain't got even though the court got bigger and wider, his space got limited. And so I think you need another guard. You need somebody that can handle pressure, bring the ball up. And if you put that dude in a block, one-on-one down the stretch, you got to double. Bro,
So that was just a quick breakdown before they get into the free throw marching thing. That was a great breakdown of the problem that the Pacers cause for teams. So when you have one person who can handle the ball, that was an issue for the Cavs. The Cavs had one person who can handle the ball. That full court pressure, it shortened the amount of time that they actually had to play half court defense. It shortened the amount of time. And they got guys who can play on ball and who can, shift and, move their feet well. So that's a part that everybody is missing. Not everybody. I ain't gonna say everybody. I don't like to speak in absolutes. That's a point that a lot of people are missing, that they use small things in the game that end up being major things with how they impacted the game. So that full court pressure. Then after the full court pressure, if your team only has one person who can bring the ball up, look what they did to the Cavs. We learned that Ty Jerome is not a playoff caliber player. That one series showed us that Ty Jerome, he can't deal with that on-ball pressure. He can't bring the ball up court. He couldn't get the ball up court. So he taught us really quick. They taught us really quickly that Ty Jerome can't do it. Let me do something real quick, y'all. Make sure Gilbert Arenas don't start speaking on me. All right, there we go. Yeah, Ty Jerome, we saw that, boom, Ty Jerome is not a playoff caliber player. They played him out, and instead of just bringing him back, paying him more, if we face other teams, they can mimic that. Then the half-court line, since they're giving you that pressure, at this point, Jalen Brunson has used most of the shot clock up. Look at how many times Jalen Brunson is going to get into trying to find a shot. We're 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Nobody else has touched the ball. Nobody. And then he got to work his magic one-on-one. So I saw that. I saw that pressure. The OKC Thunder, if you notice, they went from Shea bringing the ball up to Shea going to the spot he wanted to be in, and they had J-Dub bringing the ball up. Then they had Caruso bringing the ball up. So they switched it up and had different people bringing the ball up, so they weren't able to disrupt their offense in that way. So shout out to Baron Davis breaking that down. Let's go. Let's keep it going.
You got to double.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Nobody can guard him.
Yeah.
Nobody can guard him. He gets
crafty,
his,
though.
he's so crafty. And so can you get him off the ball? Because what happened, or nobody on the Knicks outside of Jalen Brunson could bring the ball up the court. That's the only reason why they lost. Indiana puts pressure, you turn the ball over. Indiana puts pressure, then you extend your offense, and now, Karl Anthony Towns got to play one-on-one from the top of the key the entire series. Now, he's talented as shit. He can do that, but you can't figure out where a mismatch is, nothing, because you playing at a almost like a frantic pace all the time. So if they can find somebody.
And they eating clock.
They tearing the clock up. They tearing the clock up. So he's dribbling the whole.
Right.
He got the ball the whole shot clock.
Right.
He can't even get off the ball, push off, get some space, and now have a live dribble.
Yeah.
He don't get none of that. And so, one, that's a testament to coaching. Like, if you don't work on a press break, if you don't know how to get your best player in multiple situations to be effective, and then if you only have one primary ball handler, that is your primary scorer, that is your primary playmaker, and you're going to wear him out.
Yeah.
And so, hopefully whoever comes in next is looking at how do we make Jalen Brunson dynamic so everybody else can have a piece of the rock.
So they filmed this prior to Mike Brown being named the head coach of the Knicks. But I totally agree with that. You got to get somebody else in there who can handle the ball. Nobody else handling the ball. One ball handler doesn't work. They have exposed that, and it makes so much pressure. Like you said, pressure on getting the ball up court, pressure on coming, getting across half court, pressure on the shot clock. Just so much pressure. And then once they turn around, if you make it or miss it, they run it up court. Or Halliburton was doing that outlet pass, getting it up there to Siakam, and they're getting the matchup. So just looking at it that way, they have multiple ways that they attack you, and a lot of it wasn't even defense. So I like the way he broke that down. I think now they're going to get to the free throw merchant part. So let's go.
Yeah, I like what Oklahoma did.
It's different than, like say I'm picking you up full court. Like, you got to set your feet to get me back to see what's happening. Yeah. Jalen Brunson kept going side to side, so he could never see, like, okay, it's not crowded over there. Let me figure out a way to get over there, right? And I think with OKC, with Shea, when he caught the ball, he caught it, he had some patience, and he was like, okay. And the floor wasn't even that spread out for him. It was a lot of attention, but he was able to see, okay, there's my elbow, there's this, I can work from the top, and he had a lot more patience. But I also think they had other people that can bring the ball up.
Pete and Baron, because you're talking about Shea and Paul Pierce was on last episode, and he was like, oh, what do they call it now, a foul merchant? But, Brunson is another one of those guys that's in that conversation. Seemed like we heard a lot about those two players specifically this year. Just kind of taking advantage of whether the rules, I think they're being smart, but do you think we'll see any change in refereeing or how the game's called just with those two guys and how crafty and because they're just, they draw a lot of fouls.
You're going to foul them. You can't guard. Hey, man, you're going to foul what you can't guard.
That's true.
Man, simple and clean. You're going to foul what you can't guard. So everybody who's saying, oh, they're looking for fouls, yeah, they're looking for fouls because they know you can't guard them. So you're reaching. It was like, I kept telling people versus Minnesota, I was like, they fouling Shea so much, and they talk about, oh, free throw merchant. I'm like, all of these are fouls. Why are y'all saying that he's not getting fouled or he's seeking out the fouls? Why wouldn't you? You put your best defender on me. I know I can foul your best. I can get your best defender in foul trouble in the first quarter. You think I'm not doing that? At some point, people complain about the strategies that people use. Gilbert Arenas talked about this, that he didn't like the fact that towards the end of the quarter, they would take out the attackers on offense on certain teams because that's when you can get the easy buckets on free throws. So it's a strategy to this. So people don't like the strategy because they don't know how to stop the strategy. They don't know how to defend it. But we can't just change the rules every year because guys are loose and they fouling guys. They got to stop fouling them. It went to a point where I remember in Minnesota, it got to the point they were just pushing Shea because they were so mad that he was getting foul calls, but they were fouling him. Sorry, let me get off my hot horse. Let's go back to Baron Davis.
You're going to foul what you can't guard. Allen Iverson.
I love that.
Allen Iverson see me in the club. Oh, BD, man, as soon as I see you guard me, I just run into you and fall. Get you right out the game. I'm like, dog, that's like the highest compliment, right? That's like the highest compliment you can get as a defender. Allen Iverson, like, yeah, bro, I see you coming. Oh, yeah, I'm just, foul. Let me get BD up off me. Let me get David Wesley, whomever.
So you hear he's talking about Allen Iverson. He was a better defender than a guy behind him who would defend him if he was out the game. So he would draw the fouls on Baron Davis so he could get David Wesley to be able to guard him. That was back in the Charlotte Hornets days. So it's strategy in that. So the only way to overcome that is to not foul. Don't foul. How is it other defenders who never foul out the game, and then you got guys like Karl Anthony Towns who always fouling out the game? What's the difference? One is fouling, one is not. So people don't like the strategy of it. But I always say, I said this during the playoffs, and I said, people say who their favorite player is, but the player that's the closest to their favorite player, you would think they like too. My favorite player of all time is Scottie Pippen. Why? He was so versatile. He did it all. Who's my second favorite player? LeBron James. Why? So versatile. Did it all. See, similar vein. They could play multiple positions, all these things. If your favorite player was Michael Jordan, your next favorite player is Kobe Bryant. whichever order you want it. How do you not like Shai's game? When you see Shai in the post, it's almost like he's emulating them too. Look at how he gets to his spots. Look at where he goes. You think Michael Jordan wasn't getting people to follow him? You think Kobe wasn't getting people to follow him? I don't think y'all watched the game when y'all are saying these guys are your favorite players, because if y'all did, y'all would know that Shai is right in the same vein. If Kobe was still alive, R.I.P. Kobe, Shai would be one of his favorite players. I don't know if y'all don't realize this. So it's one of those. I'm like, man, I don't even know who y'all even root for, because y'all claim to like Kobe, but then not like Shai, and then say Shai is a free throw merchant, but then he didn't even, this year's MVP year, he's not even a league leader based on attempts on how many free throws he shoots per game. So, and that's the part that when it doesn't even match statistically, that's when you really got to back off the narrative and go to, I just don't like him. I'm cool with that. I'm not saying you got to like every player, but what people get caught up on false narratives and then use that as a reason why they don't like him. No, just say you don't like him. There's nothing wrong with that. Liking a player and their style of play is subjective. It's up to you. So you don't have to like every player and how they play. So if you don't like a player, just say that. But you don't have to use fake reasons to be the reason why you don't like them. So let's get back to it.
Whoever else back over here. But I think that when, and Iverson, like, you can slide, you can get caught, you can get snatched. Dudes like that, they gonna get you.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hit him, like, you fouling him.
Yeah,
like,
true, yeah.
It's tough. It's tough for a defender to be able to guard dudes like that can operate in contact. Gilbert Arenas was like that. I would say in our era.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes was like that.
You don't think they're like looking for it? Because when I watch, it looks like he's looking for a foul. Those other guys,
he's waiting.
Like Jalen Brunson is looking to draw a foul.
No, he's waiting for you to foul him.
Mm-hmm.
He's waiting for you to foul him. So then he puts the referee in a predicament.
Tough spot.
Because it's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I can make a foul obvious, then it's up to the ref whether they're going to call it or not. Because I am going to the hole, and the rule said you can't push, you can't push off underneath the free throw line. So as soon as I feel his hand, man,
Yeah.
So even the way he asked that question, he said, it looks like they are looking for the foul. He said, they are. So he was expecting him to say something completely different. Like, oh, they're not looking for the foul. No, they are looking for the foul. They're putting the onus on the refs. Look in the NFL. A lot of times people put the onus on the refs. Hey, you got to make a call. Defenders do that. DBs do that all day. I'm going to force your hand. You're going to have to call pass interference. Offensive pass interference, I'm going to force you. You're going to have to call it. If not, I'm going to get away with it every time. I'm going to put the onus on the ref. You are fouling me, and I'm just going to wait till you foul me. You're not disciplined enough to not foul me. That is on the defender. He wanted Baron Davis to say something different. He wanted Baron Davis to turn this kind of into an argument. And Baron Davis is like, no, I know that you're going to foul me. I know it. You're not disciplined enough. He knows your game better than you know your game. That's the mental side of the game where Shai is leaps and bounds ahead of guys because he can get you off your game just because he knows you don't have the discipline. Let's get back to it.
And that's what he do.
So
I don't know how to do
rules. It's just, I don't need it.
Yeah, I wish so. Don't you wish?
I don't know, 3-4 free throws last season. I wish I could get. And it'd be like, cool, they work the system, cool. It's frustrating because I be getting hacked.
Right?
And shoot 4 free throws a night.
Now, Podcast P, you're bringing us some great guests. You're really enjoyable show. But you be chicken winking guys with that elbow push off where you use your elbow and extend that way versus using your forearm and hand so you can push off and create space. I don't have no NBA license, so I can't show you what Podcast P be doing when you do that push off. But just search it. Just search Paul George push off on jump shot. Because you be pushing off too. Don't just try to play it clean and say, oh, I'm not pushing off. Remember, the difference is Shai is driving to the hoop at a higher clip than anybody else in the NBA. That's the difference too. So he's not just shooting a jumper and getting fouled on the jumper, where it's kind of harder to see them hit you on your elbow and you know what I'm saying, as you're going up and shooting a jumper. But hey, I watched you too much when you used to go against the Cavs, when you was on the East, when you was on the Pacers, when you was going against the Heat in those great series in the playoffs, when you were on the Clippers. I watched you too much do that chicken wing elbow. Just, hey, if I'm wrong, tell me in the comments that I'm wrong about what I'm saying right now about Paul George using the elbow to get guys off. He's not using the forearm and the hand because they would call it a push off. He's using the elbow to push off and extending the elbow. So you got some little you got some tricks up your sleeve too. We ain't gonna let you just blow by that. So I thought that was a great breakdown. He did a great breakdown on the Pacers and what they did to Jalen Brunson. And this wasn't even 8 minutes long. He broke down the Pacers' greatness, what they did to Jalen Brunson. He broke down how Allen Iverson used to attack them. He broke down the free throw merchant. He did not run from they're looking for the foul because they know you're going to foul them. See, this is what I like. I like when guys are direct about how they are approaching or calling something, and that's what he did. So I thought this was great to show. Now, this is where Gilbert Arenas has been trying to talk on my show so much. So let me set this thing up. Let's see if my buttons is working now. Let's do Chrome. Let's turn you on. Let's go here. Let's see. All right, my buttons. It ain't working how I want it to work. That's okay. All right, let's turn you on. We don't need.
No, I'm saying, do you think they
Pause it.
totally regret it? Yeah.
Gil, you're always trying to talk. Calm down. Hey, you gonna be on the show. You're gonna be on the show. All right, so we are working on. This is my most viral TikTok. So in this TikTok, I was breaking down. This is when Gilbert Arenas was on First Take during Fanatics Fest, and he was breaking down when they were calling Kobe a Robin or sidekick to Shaq. That was the crux of a big argument. Social media went crazy. Everybody said they never heard this argument. Everybody said, no, they only compared him to Jordan. They never compared him to Scottie. If you want to say Gilbert Arenas is 90% right and they didn't compare him to Scottie, I'm cool with that. But he's more right than he is wrong. And that's where I'm going to stand on it. Let's go. This is a throwback to me, actually. One of my clips. We just need the beginning of this to what Gilbert is saying. Let's start over.
Kobe had 3 rings. Y'all wasn't treating him like a 3-ring player. You were treating him like a sidekick. He was considered a sidekick. He was considered a Robin. He was considered.
Okay, so you heard that. He was considered a sidekick. He was considered a Robin with 3 rings. That's the start of it. That's the crux of what he's saying. And you had people going crazy over that take, which I couldn't understand it. I didn't know why people were going crazy. The internet is forever, y'all. The internet is forever. The internet is also undefeated. Always remember that. If I say who's undefeated, always remember the internet. This is Gil's Arena this week.
Yes.
Yeah, like not giving it to Steph.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes. Like even okay, so let's say Kawhi, right? Even with Kawhi's, when I'm looking at his, if you take off the stats, if you take off the names of everybody, and you put all the stats, you will pick 6 people for Finals MVP.
lately for your comments on how Kobe was viewed as a Robin to Shaq's Batman during the Lakers three-peat. You pointed out that this wasn't your opinion, but the narrative from the media and others during that time period, you've had to defend your Kobe-ness repeatedly. Pointing out you've been a diehard Kobe fan since being won the 1997 Slam Dunk Contest.
Nah, it wasn't after he won it. It was just a third dunk.
Okay, the third dunk. So he hadn't won yet, but at that moment, you even have a tattoo of him on your leg, as you've also pointed out.
I don't have a tattoo of him. I have a tattoo of his jersey.
Okay, which would be representative of his aura. So, well, in regards to the whole Robin narrative, we have some video of Kobe Bryant himself talking about the situation of him being labeled as a Robin early in his career.
Yeah, a little competitive.
Just a little.
But I mean, that was the narrative, though. The narrative was, Kobe's a sidekick, can't win without Shaq. Mm-hmm. Right? And I didn't hear anybody, not Phil, not Shaq, come out and say, well, that's not true. He could. I didn't hear that. Everybody was quiet. I'm saying, okay. Oh, okay. This is the challenge. This is what we're talking about right now? All right. And so then when I decided to go and do my own thing, a lot of people in the media were like, well, that's very selfish of you.
Yeah, no.
But as we sit here today, everybody's using the argument against me and saying, well, you won your first 3 with Shaq. Had I not won that 2 without him, what would you be saying now?
So I'm hitting y'all with every winning sound effect I have because I was fighting for my life. This was me, y'all.
Fighting for my life.
That was me in the comment section. That viral video I had on TikTok of me explaining that the media was viewing Kobe as a sidekick. And everybody with their short memories misremember what the media was saying. So, you know how I know how Gilbert is. Gilbert's not taking an L when he know that he is when he's right. So Kobe broke it down. So Kobe said it in his own words. The media said he couldn't win without Shaq. The media called him a sidekick. Then he said, okay, if that's the rules, that's the game y'all playing, I'm going to go do it on my own. He went and did it on his own and won those other 2. And then they called him selfish for doing it on his own. So all the people, when Nick Young was crashing out on the show, saying, I don't got to believe y'all, and he didn't know what was going on, when everybody was saying that the media didn't do this, Stephen A was in the media. Stephen A didn't argue with him. Nobody else. Remember I said, how come nobody else in the media is coming out saying Gilbert is wrong? Because Kobe fans were mad at the wrong people. Kobe fans, y'all win at Gilbert Arenas like he created the narrative. Y'all should be mad at the media for playing with Kobe's career. Kobe should have more than 1 MVP. That's who y'all should be mad at. Y'all are mad at the wrong people. Why y'all not mad at the media? Why y'all not saying Kobe should have had more accolades? He should have had more MVPs. I said it a couple weeks ago. Kobe should have at least 3 MVPs. Y'all are mad at the y'all anger is misdirected or misguided anger. The anger should be going at the media, not the people who are calling out the media for what they created and what they started. Let's play this. Let's see if the 2 people who was fighting Gilbert Arenas tooth and nail about this statement, let's see if they can take it on the chin and say, you know what? You're right. Kobe just said it. I was wrong. Let's see how they respond.
Are we on a crisis tour? Like, are we about to lose our jobs? Like, tell me. Damn, we gotta clear this shit up. Like, tired of this shit, man.
Yeah.
Fuck. Just tell the people.
You tired of being wrong. So this is what I tell y'all. When people crash out and they don't know no better and they just keep fighting that same narrative and then you bring them, you see, if they wouldn't have went so hard at Gilbert Arenas, he would have never pulled this type of receipt. But they went so hard at him. Social media went so hard at him. The comments went so hard at him. Excuse me. Everybody went so hard at him and he said, you know what? I'm going to pull your card. Now, Nick Young, remember, Nick Young's a champion. He's the only one with a ring. You got to listen to what he say. Now he's wrong, y'all. Go at him. Why can't he just man up and say I was wrong? Why can't he just take his L? Remember I told you, any person that says they never took an L, you're looking at a liar. Everybody takes L's. L's is how you grow. Let's see. Let's see if Nick can just say, you know what, man, my bad. That's all he got to do right now. Let's see if he can do it.
People you love, man. Let's go. It's not me. I'm just saying when, I think I said the same exact thing. Like, it seems like I copied everything he said. The media did this, and then y'all pretended I did it. This is not for me. I mean, since he said it, y'all got anything to say? He said they called him a sidekick. I didn't hear him say A, B, or 1B. I didn't hear him say Batman. Remember, sidekick is, and you said no one ever called him a sidekick. And I think can y'all play again? What word did he use? What was the word did he use? Did he say 1B?
A little competitive.
Just a little.
But, I mean, that was the narrative, though. The narrative was, Kobe's a sidekick, can't win without
You can
Shaq.
pause it.
Kobe was a sidekick and he couldn't win without Shaq. So when everybody was in their feelings, all the 47,000 people that viewed that TikTok, the thousands of comments I have on that TikTok, I think y'all owe me an apology. I think y'all need to come back and say, you know what, I was wrong. I think that y'all need to subscribe to my TikTok because y'all was wrong and y'all was fighting me on that. Y'all didn't have faith and I knew what I was talking about. Y'all didn't have faith in me. But me, like Gilbert, I was right all along. Kobe backed it up. This is who y'all was arguing for. This is who y'all was speaking for. This is who y'all was fighting for. What did he say? Y'all viewed me as a sidekick. It's people in those comments saying Kobe was never viewed as a sidekick. So why did he say this then? Is Kobe lying? Is Kobe misremembering what happened? Is Kobe making this up? Is this AI Kobe? Or was y'all just wrong and in y'all feelings? Y'all tell me. Tell me in the comments. Was y'all wrong and in y'all feelings? Because Kobe just proved y'all wrong. Let's see if they can take their L. Let's see if they can do it. Can they do it?
What did Kobe say?
So they said it was, they called him a sidekick. They called him a sidekick. The narrative was they called him a sidekick, and then y'all rebutted and said no one's ever called him a sidekick. He was next to Jordan.
Come out.
Yeah.
Like fight it, right?
Yeah, but they called him a sidekick, and so when y'all jumped on me and said no one's ever said that. He was the next coming to Jordan. No one ever did that. It was Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq.
Let's say we're sorry.
Shaq and Batman.
Let's say together. Let's say we're sorry. All right, let's sit up together because he needs this apology. He needs it. Gilbert, Hippolito from the chat. It's from the chat too.
I need the chat. Hold on. I need the chat too.
Hernandez.
I need the chat too.
Hippolito.
I need the chat too. I need the I'm sorry. Damn, they did call him a sidekick. Hold on.
Nick, together.
Good luck with getting the chat to do anything.
Nick,
No, chat is normal. Yeah, thank you. Your turn.
Gilberto.
One at a time.
Gilberto. Julio.
Hey.
No, Hernandez. It's Hernandez. It's Hernandez. Middle name. Gilberto Hernandez Arenas. I'm sorry, bro.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry that you're a Kobe hater.
Gilbert J. Arenas.
Let me go over there. Yeah, get a hug from him.
That nigga fought to put Kobe down so many times.
Drop the bottle.
And now he changed the narrative into this is the narrative. I'm gonna fight the narrative now. I'm arguing against the narrative. I put Kobe down so many times, but now I'm fighting against the narrative. This was the narrative. Just make this time. I'm sorry. Do I have to? No.
I feel like a girl on this like prom day. You waiting for the prom. You waiting to be asked for the prom.
My dad's watching this right now. The last time I had to do some shit like this, I was 13. I was picking on the ugly girl, and he made me give her a hug.
Did you like her though?
I ran from her.
You had to give the ugly girl.
And my dad, he had to whoop my ass and make me hug her. I was running. I refused to do this, right? But we're gonna have to apologize to Gilbert, right? Because sidekick, Scottie Pippen, Shaq Tattoo, Superman, Batman, you know what I'm saying? It's misunderstood energy. So he needs this. He needs it. They been killing him. Yeah. That's why I'm not gonna give it to him.
Oh.
Don't give him shit.
Don't
give these couple boys nothing. Don't give these motherfuckers. You disrespect that man like that. What? Gilbert Hernandez. Pour out the water for my mans up there. What?
So, Nick Young eventually just said, I'm sorry, you was right. He threw in a little shot and said you was hating on Kobe, but he's arguing with the wrong people. McCants. I'm telling y'all, this is when I told y'all, early in the rundown, I said, being the Skip Bayless clone, not admitting fault, eventually is going to face major backlash. And McCants is showing y'all why he's putting a ceiling on his head of how far he can go in this space, because now you have the person who he's supposedly defending saying something that goes directly against what he said. I can't listen to people. I can't listen to people long term who can't admit fault, especially when they're shown new information. The person you was arguing for, he said it. So the same way that other clip went viral, when I put this on my TikTok, I want this to go viral. I want y'all to show up in the comments. I want 47,000 views on that TikTok. I think I got 1,000, 2,000 comments on that. 1,000 likes. I want them same stats. I want y'all to tell me I misinterpreted what happened. You was right. That's what I want. That's not too much to ask, is it? I think we just had a great show. We went into some overtime. Almost 2 hours and 30 minutes long show. We're doing this new format where we have the full screen on YouTube, full screen on Twitch. We're seeing how this works out. We still gonna get the clips out. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe on Twitch. Wherever you watching, like, comment, subscribe. Be looking for the clips coming out this week. Audio version of the podcast will be in black and white. Audio version of the podcast will be dropping at 8 a.m. on Sunday. Video replay will be dropping at 9 a.m. on Sunday. Streamlabs, Fanatics partner. Check me out. Links in the description. Level up your fan gear with Fanatics, from jerseys, hats. They got officially licensed merch for every team, every sport. Don't miss out. Gear up today. Link is in the description. Streamlabs. Stream like a pro. When using this link, we'll get a percentage of each sale and it'll really help us out. Streamlabs, link in the description. This has been a great show. I want to say thank you to everybody who is here. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.
Hey,